I know exactly who you are, Mr. Sterling. Destiny's voice was ice cold. She stood in the doorway of the nursery, holding Noah against her chest with one arm. In her other hand, she held a wallet. His wallet. The one with his real driver's license, his real name, his real face staring up at her. Marcus couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't think. 3 days, she said, her eyes burning with tears and fury. 3 days you watched me, tested me, lied to me, and the whole time I thought maybe, just maybe, this family was different. She laughed, but there was no humor in it, only pain. I was wrong. Behind her, through the nursery window, Marcus saw his mother's car pulling into the driveway. And in that moment, he understood with terrible clarity that everything was about to fall apart. Before we continue this incredible story, tell me where you're watching from right now. What city? What time is it there? Drop a comment below, because I love seeing how far these stories travel around the world. And if you believe in stories that touch the heart and challenge what we think we know about people, subscribe to this channel and stay with me until the very end. Trust me, what happens next will change the way you see everything. The call came at 3:47 in the morning. Marcus Sterling was still awake, sitting in the leather chair beside his son's crib, watching Noah's chest rise and fall in the blue glow of the baby monitor. He hadn't slept in 4 days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Victoria's face in those final moments. The way she smiled when they placed Noah in her arms. The way that smile faded as the machines started screaming. His phone vibrated against his thigh. He looked at the screen. Dr. Patricia Webb, Boston Children's Hospital. Mr. Sterling, I need you to come in first thing tomorrow morning. We got Noah's latest results back. Marcus's hand tightened around the phone. Just tell me. I'd rather discuss this in person. Tell me now. A long pause. Then quietly, your son is dying, Mr. Sterling, and I don't know why. Marcus hung up without saying goodbye. He looked at Noah, 6 months old, 10 pounds, barely breathing. The baby who was supposed to be his miracle. The baby who was supposed to make losing Victoria mean something. I won't let you go, Hui, Marcus whispered. You hear me? I won't. Noah didn't respond. He never responded anymore. He just lay there, fading away like a photograph left too long in the sun. The next morning, Marcus sat across from Dr. Webb in her office. She had dark circles under her eye. He wondered if she'd slept either. Every test comes back normal, Shua, she said. His organs are functioning. His blood work is clean. There's no infection, no genetic disorder, no tumor, nothing I can point to and say this is the problem. Then why is he dying, Doc? Webb took off her glasses and rubbed her eyes. Have you heard the term failure to thrive? No. It's when an infant stops growing, stops developing despite adequate nutrition. Sometimes the cause is medical, but sometimes... She hesitated. Sometimes babies simply give up. Marcus stared at her. Give up? He's 6 months old. He doesn't know how to give up. Infants are more perceptive than we realize. They feel absence. They feel instability. They feel when the people who are supposed to love them keep disappearing. She leaned forward. You've had 3 nannies in 3 months. 3 women who were supposed to care for Noah, and all 3 are gone. I fired them because they weren't doing their jobs. I understand that, but Noah doesn't. All he knows is that people keep leaving, and at some point, Mr. Sterling babies stop waiting for someone to stay. They stop fighting. They stop wanting to live. Marcus felt the words hit him like physical blows. What am I supposed to do? I can't be there every second. I have a company, responsibilities. I can't just... Then find someone who can. Dr. Webb's voice was firm. Find someone who will be there, someone who will stay, someone who can give Noah what he needs before it's too late. How much time does he have? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Marcus drove home in silence. His phone rang 6 times. Raymond Chen, board meetings, merger updates, crisis management. He ignored every call. When he pulled into his driveway, he saw Mrs. Chen waiting at the door. Her face was pale. Mr. Sterling, the agency called. They're sending someone over this afternoon. A new candidate. Who? A young woman named Destiny Carter. She's different from the others. Different how? Mrs. Chen hesitated. She's from the south side of Chicago. No degree, no wealthy family connections. The agency said she's their last option. Marcus closed his eyes. The south side. Gang territory. Poverty. Crime. Everything he'd spent his life building walls against. Send her away, he said. Mr. Sterling. I said send her away. He walked past Mrs. Chen and went straight to the nursery. Noah was lying in his crib, eyes open, staring at nothing. Marcus reached down and touched his son's face. The skin was cool. Too cool. "Fight?" Marcus whispered. "Please, just fight." Noah's eyes drifted closed. His breathing slowed, and Marcus felt something break inside his chest. He pulled out his phone and called Mrs. Chen. "The woman from the agency. When is she coming?" 2:00. "Let her in." At exactly 2:00 p.m., Destiny Carter walked through the front door of the Sterling mansion. Marcus watched from the upstairs balcony as she entered the foyer. She was young, mid-20s, wearing a simple dress that looked clean but worn. She carried a small backpack over one shoulder. Nothing else. Mrs. Chen greeted her formally. Destiny nodded politely, her eyes moving across the marble floors, the crystal chandelier, the paintings worth more than most houses. She didn't gape, didn't reach for her phone to take pictures. She just looked absorbed and kept walking. "Mr. Sterling will see you in his office," Mrs. Chen said. "Thank you." Her voice was soft but steady. No nervousness, no desperation, just calm. Marcus moved to his office and sat behind his desk. He'd done this 3 times before. 3 interviews. 3 perfect candidates with perfect credentials from perfect schools. All failures. The door opened. Destiny walked in. Their eyes met. Something shifted in Marcus's chest. He couldn't explain it. Couldn't name it. But something changed in that moment, something he wouldn't understand until much later. "Miss Carter, please sit down." She sat across from him, her back straight, her hands folded in her lap. She didn't fidget, didn't look around the room, at the expensive furniture and art. She just looked at him, waiting. "The agency tells me you're their last option," Marcus said. "Yes, sir. They also tell me you don't have a degree, no formal training in childcare." "That's correct." "Then why should I hire you?" Destiny was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was different. Deeper. Raw. "Because I know what it's like to love a child so much, it breaks you. I know what it's like to hold them in your arms and beg God to let them live. And I know what it's like when God doesn't listen." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "You lost a child?" 2 years ago, my daughter Grace. She was born too early, 28 weeks. She fought for 7 weeks before Destiny stopped, took a breath. "Before I had to let her go." The room was silent. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. "I'm sorry," he said, and he meant it. "I'm not telling you this for sympathy, Mr. Sterling. I'm telling you because you need to understand something. Your son isn't just a job to me. He can't be. When I look at a sick baby, I see grace. I see every mother who's ever prayed for a miracle. And I will fight for that baby like he's my own, because in my heart, he is." Marcus stared at her for a long moment. Then he stood up. "Come with me." He led her upstairs to the nursery. Noah was awake, lying in his crib, staring at the ceiling with empty eyes. Destiny approached slowly. She didn't reach for him right away. Instead, she leaned over the crib and just looked at him. Studied him. Then she started to hum. A soft melody. Something old and sweet. Noah's eyes moved. For the first time in days, his eyes actually tracked toward something. Toward her. Marcus felt his knees go weak. "Hey there, sweet boy," Destiny whispered. "I see you. I see you in there." She reached down and touched his cheek with one finger. Noah made a sound. Small, weak, but a sound. "You're tired of fighting, aren't you?" Destiny said softly. "You're tired of waiting for someone to stay, but I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." Noah's tiny hand moved. His fingers brushed against hers. Marcus turned away. He didn't want her to see the tears in his eye. "You're hired," he said. "Don't you want to check my references?" "I just saw your reference, that's all I need." He walked to the door, then stopped. Without turning around, he said, "Mrs. Chen will show you to your quarters. You start immediately. Mr. Sterling." He turned back. Destiny was still looking at Noah, but her words were for him. "Thank you for giving me a chance. I won't let you down." Marcus nodded and left the room. In the hallway, he leaned against the wall and pressed his hands to his face. His whole body was shaking. This woman had done more for his son in 2 minutes than 3 professionals had done in 3 months. And that's when the doubt crept in. It was too perfect, too easy, too convenient. What if she'd researched his family? What if she knew exactly what to say, what to do, how to act? What if this was all a performance designed to gain his trust? The other nannies had seemed perfect too, at first. Marcus pulled out his phone and made a call. "Raymond, I need you to run the company for the next 2 weeks. Full authority. Marcus, what the hell is going on? I can't explain. Just do it. Are you in trouble? No, I just need to be sure about something. He hung up and went to his private bathroom. In the cabinet was a bag he'd prepared weeks ago, back when the paranoia first started. Old jeans, a faded work shirt, steel-toed boots, a baseball cap, clothes that made him look like nobody. He changed slowly, staring at himself in the mirror. The man looking back at him wasn't Marcus Sterling, Billionaire. He was Dave Handyman, a man who fixed things, a man who watched. Marcus knew this was wrong. He knew it was ugly. He knew it revealed something about himself that he didn't want to face. But he had to be sure. He had to know if Destiny Carter was real. Day 1. Marcus arrived in the kitchen at 7:00 a.m. carrying a toolbox he'd bought at Home Depot. Destiny was already there warming a bottle for Noah. She looked up when he entered. Can I help you? Name's Dave. Mrs. Chen hired me to fix some things around the house. Loose railings, faulty outlets, that kind of thing. Nice to meet you, Dave. I'm Destiny. Yeah, I heard. Marcus pretended to examine a cabinet hinge. New job, huh? Must be nice working in a place like this. Destiny tested the bottle temperature on her wrist. It's a blessing, but the house doesn't matter. Only the baby matters. Rich folks like this, they probably don't even notice the help. Destiny's eyes met his. There was no anger in them, just patience. Mr. Sterling noticed me. He gave me a chance when nobody else would. That's more than most people do. Marcus felt the words like a knife in his gut. He turned away, pretending to measure something with a tape measure. A cry came from upstairs. Noah. Destiny moved immediately, bottle in hand. Excuse me. She was gone before Marcus could respond. He followed at a distance, climbing the stairs, quietly positioning himself in the hallway outside the nursery. Through the partially open door, he watched. Destiny lifted Noah from the crib, gently cradling him against her chest. The baby was crying, but weakly, like he didn't have the strength for real tears. I know, sweet boy, I know. You're hungry, you're scared. But I've got you now. She sat in the rocking chair and offered him the bottle. Noah turned his head away. That's okay. We'll try again in a minute. No pressure, no rush. She started to rock, humming softly, the same melody from yesterday. After a few minutes, she tried again. This time, Noah's mouth opened. He took the nipple, started to drink. There you go. That's my brave boy. You're doing so good. Marcus watched his son drink more formula than he'd had in the past 3 days combined. He backed away from the door and walked downstairs, his mind spinning. Day 2. Marcus was fixing a light switch that didn't need fixing when he heard Destiny talking to Noah in the living room. You know what, little man, my grandmother used to say that every baby is born with a light inside them. Some babies have big, bright lights. Some have little flickering ones, but every single light matters. Marcus moved closer, staying out of sight. She said her job wasn't to give babies their light. God already did that. Her job was just to help them find it, to remind them it was there. Noah made a gurgling sound. You've got a beautiful light, sweet boy. I can see it. It's hiding right now, but it's there, and I'm going to help you find it. That's a promise. Marcus's phone buzzed, a text from a number he didn't recognize. I know what you're doing. We need to talk. His blood ran cold. Eleanor, his mother. He deleted the text without responding. That afternoon, Marcus positioned himself outside the nursery again. Destiny was changing Noah's diaper, talking to him the whole time. Okay, I know. Cold wipes are the worst. But we've got to keep you clean, right? That's the deal. You let me take care of you, and I promise to make it quick. She finished the change and lifted Noah up, blowing a raspberry on his belly. The baby made a sound that was almost like a laugh. Marcus's heart stopped. He hadn't heard Noah laugh in months. Oh, you like that. Let's try again. Another raspberry, another almost laugh. Destiny grinned. We're going to have so much fun together, little man. Just wait. So much fun. Marcus walked away, unable to watch anymore. His hands were shaking. His eyes were burning. This woman was genuine. She had to be. Nobody could fake that kind of love. But then why couldn't he believe it? Why couldn't he let himself trust her? The answer was ugly. The answer was something he'd spent his whole life pretending didn't exist inside him. Destiny was different. Different from Mrs. Patterson with her British accent and perfect resume. Different from Sarah with her Northwestern degree. Different from Melissa with her Boston connections. Different because of where she came from. Different because of the color of her skin. Marcus had never said it out loud, had never even admitted it to himself. But standing in that hallway, listening to Destiny love his son back to life, he finally saw the truth. He was his mother's son, and that realization made him want to throw up. Day 3. It was almost 9:00 p.m. Destiny's shift had ended hours ago, but she was still there, still in the nursery, still holding Noah. Marcus stood in the hallway listening. "Come on, baby, please, just a little sleep." Noah was crying. Not the weak, sad cry he'd had before. This was stronger, louder, more alive, but it was also relentless. "I know you're tired. I'm tired too, but we've got to rest, sweet boy. Growing takes energy." Her phone rang. She answered with one hand still holding Noah with the other. "Hey, Darnell," a man's voice loud enough for Marcus to hear. "Where the hell are you? You said you'd be here 2 hours ago." "I know, I'm sorry. The baby's having a rough night. I can't leave him like this." "It's always that baby. What about me? What about us?" "Darnell, please don't do this right now." "I'm done waiting, Destiny. Either you come home right now or don't come home at all." Silence. "I can't." Destiny's voice cracked. "I can't leave him. He needs me." "Then I guess you made your choice." The line went dead. Marcus watched Destiny stand there, phone in one hand, crying baby in the other. A tear rolled down her cheek, then another, but she didn't break down. She didn't call him back. She just wiped her face, put the phone in her pocket, and kept rocking Noah. "It's okay, sweet boy. Everything's going to be okay. I've got you. I've got you." Marcus stepped back into the shadows, his heart pounding. This woman had just lost her boyfriend. Her relationship, maybe her future, for his son, for a baby she'd known for 3 days. He couldn't do this anymore. He couldn't keep hiding, couldn't keep watching, couldn't keep pretending to be someone he wasn't. Tomorrow he would tell her the truth, but tomorrow came faster than he expected, and it brought something he never saw coming. Marcus woke at 6:00 a.m. to the sound of a car pulling into the driveway. He looked out his window and felt his stomach drop. His mother's silver Mercedes. Eleanor Sterling stepped out of the car dressed in a cream-colored suit that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her expression was hard, determined. Marcus threw on his disguise and ran downstairs, but he was too late. Eleanor was already in the living room, and so was Destiny. "Well?" Eleanor's voice dripped with contempt. "You must be the new girl." Destiny was holding Noah, her arms tightened around him protectively. "I'm Destiny Carter, ma'am, the baby's caregiver." "Caregiver," Eleanor laughed a cold, brittle sound. "Is that what they're calling it now? In my day, we had more honest words." "Mother?" Marcus stepped into the room, forgetting for a moment that he was dressed as a handyman. Eleanor's eyes moved to him. Confusion flickered across her face, then recognition. "Marcus, what on earth are you wearing?" The room went silent. Destiny stared at him. Her eyes moved from his face to Eleanor, then back to him. He watched understanding dawn across her features. "Marcus," she repeated, You're the handyman. Destiny, I can explain. The handyman who's been here for 3 days, watching me, spying on me." "It's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like." Eleanor's voice was triumphant. "My son was protecting himself, protecting his family. You can't blame him for being suspicious of someone like you." "Someone like me." Destiny's voice was quiet. Dangerous. "Let's not pretend we don't both know what I mean." "Mother, that's enough." Marcus stepped between them. "Destiny, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" Tears were streaming down her face now, but her voice stayed steady. "That you didn't trust me, that you thought I was going to hurt your son, that you looked at me and saw a threat instead of a person." "I was scared. I was desperate. I'd been burned before. By women with degrees and references and bank accounts, but I'm the one you needed to test. I'm the one you had to spy on." She laughed bitterly. "I should have known. I should have known it was too good to be true." Noah started crying, responding to the tension in the room. Destiny looked down at him and her face softened. "Shh, sweet boy. It's okay. It's going to be okay." She looked back at Marcus. "I'll stay until you find someone else. For him, not for you." "Destiny, don't." She walked toward the door, then stopped, turned back. "You know what the worst part is? I actually liked Dave. The handyman who ate lunch with the staff. The guy who asked about my grandmother. I thought maybe there was someone real underneath all that money." She shook her head. "But Dave doesn't exist, and neither does the man I thought you were." She walked out of the room with Noah, leaving Marcus standing there with his mother. Eleanor smiled. "Well, that's that then. I'll call the agency and find you a proper nanny, someone suitable." "Get out." Eleanor's smile faltered. "Excuse me." Get out of my house, now. Marcus, I just saved you from making a terrible mistake. The only mistake I made was listening to you, for years, believing that our way was the right way, that people like Destiny were somehow less than us. He stepped closer to his mother, his voice shaking with rage. But you know what I learned in 3 days, Mother. That woman has more integrity, more compassion, more genuine love in her little finger than you've shown in your entire life. How dare you? How dare you coming into my home insulting someone who has done nothing but care for my son, treating her like she's beneath you because of where she comes from? Marcus's voice broke. I'm done. I'm done with all of it. Now get out. Eleanor stared at him, her face white with shock. You're making a mistake, Marcus. A terrible mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. She grabbed her purse and walked toward the door. At the threshold, she stopped. Your father made the same choice once. Chose an outsider over his family. Look where that got him. What are you talking about? But she was already gone, the door slamming behind her. Marcus stood in the empty room, his mind reeling. What did she mean about his father? What choice? What outsider? But there was no time to think about that now. He had to find Destiny, had to make this right. He ran upstairs. The nursery door was open. Destiny was inside, packing her few belongings into her backpack. Noah was in his crib, crying. Destiny, please, just listen to me for 5 minutes. I've been listening to you for 3 days. Every fake question, every fake smile, every lie. I know, and I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but I need you to understand why I did it. I know why you did it. Destiny zipped her bag and turned to face him. You did it because you looked at me and saw a stereotype, a threat, someone who doesn't belong in your world. That's not... Yes, it is. And you know what makes it worse? I actually started to believe I could belong here, that this could be my place, my family. She laughed, but there were tears in her eyes. Stupid right girl from Englewood thinking she could fit in with the Sterlings. You do belong here. Destiny, you've done more for my son in 3 days than anyone else has done in months. You're the only one who's been able to reach him. Then why wasn't that enough? Her voice broke. Why did you need to watch me test me? What did I ever do to make you think I would hurt that baby? Marcus had no answer. Because there was no answer. There was only his fear, his prejudice, the poisonous whispers he'd inherited from his mother and never had the courage to question. Nothing, he said finally. You did nothing. It was me. It was all me. Destiny wiped her eyes. I'm sorry about your son, Mr. Sterling. I really am. He's a beautiful boy, and he deserves better than what life has given him. But I can't stay here. I can't work for someone who will never see me as an equal. She walked to the crib and looked down at Noah. The baby had stopped crying. He was looking up at her with those big brown eyes reaching toward her. Goodbye, sweet boy. Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm sorry I have to go, but I'll never forget you. Never. She touched his cheek one last time, then turned and walked toward the door. Wait. She stopped, but didn't turn around. You asked me what you did to make me suspicious. The answer is nothing. You did nothing wrong. But I'm going to tell you what I did wrong because you deserve to know. Marcus took a deep breath. 3 nannies. 3 women with perfect credentials. Every single one of them hurt my son. Mrs. Patterson ignored him. Sarah endangered him. Melissa drugged him. And I trusted all of them completely, never doubted them for a second. He paused, forcing himself to say the words. But I doubted from the moment you walked in, before I knew your name, before I heard your story, before I saw you with my son. I doubted you because you were different, because you didn't look like them, didn't talk like them, didn't come from the same world. Destiny still hadn't turned around, but she was listening. That's not suspicion, Destiny. That's prejudice, pure and simple. The ugly, shameful kind that I've spent my whole life pretending I didn't have. The kind I inherited from my mother and never had the guts to question. He stepped closer. You asked if I would ever see you as an equal. The truth is, I already do. I've seen how you love my son. I've seen how you sacrifice for him. I've seen more humanity in you than in anyone I've met in my entire privileged life. And that terrifies me, because it means everything I was taught to believe about people like you is wrong. Destiny finally turned around. Her face was wet with tears, but her eyes were searching his, looking for something. I'm not asking you to stay for me, Marcus said. I don't deserve that, but Noah does. He needs you, Destiny. He was dying before you came, and now he's fighting again. Whatever you're doing, whatever magic you have, it's working. Please, don't punish him for my mistakes. She was quiet for a long time. Then softly, "You really hurt me. I know. I don't know if I can trust you again. I know that too. And your mother? My mother doesn't get a vote in this, not anymore." Destiny looked at Noah. The baby was still reaching for her, making small sounds of distress. "I need time to think." "Take all the time you need." She picked up her backpack and walked to the door. At the threshold, she stopped. "I'll give you my answer tomorrow." Then she was gone. Marcus walked to the crib and looked down at his son. Noah's arms were still reaching up, grabbing at empty air. "I know, buddy," Marcus whispered. "I miss her too." His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You should have listened to me. That woman will destroy you. I was only trying to help, but since you won't accept my help, I'll have to help myself." Marcus stared at the message, ice spreading through his veins. His mother. What was she planning? Before he could respond, another message came through, this one from Mrs. Chen. "Mr. Sterling, you need to come to the kitchen immediately. Something has happened." Marcus ran. He found Mrs. Chen in the kitchen, her face pale, her hands shaking. She was holding a piece of paper. "This was on the counter when I came in. I don't know how it got here." Marcus took the paper and read it. "I know what you did to Grace. I know what really happened at that hospital 2 years ago. And if you don't leave the Sterling house by midnight tonight, everyone will know too, including her." The note wasn't signed, but it didn't need to be. Marcus looked at Mrs. Chen. "Where is this from?" "I don't know, sir. It was just here when I arrived." "Did you see anyone? Any car in the driveway?" "Just your mother's car earlier, but she left hours ago." Marcus read the note again. What you did to Grace? What really happened? What was his mother talking about? What did she know about Destiny's daughter? His phone rang. He looked at the screen. Dr. Webb. "Mr. Sterling, we need to talk. I found something in Noah's latest blood work. Something that shouldn't be there." "What kind of something?" "I'd rather not say over the phone. Can you come to the hospital right away?" "I'm on my way." He hung up and turned to Mrs. Chen. "If Destiny comes back, tell her to wait. Tell her I need to talk to her before she makes any decisions." "Yes, sir?" Marcus grabbed his keys and ran to his car. As he pulled out of the driveway, he saw something that made him slam on the brakes. His mother's Mercedes parked at the end of the street. Eleanor was sitting inside watching his house. Their eyes met through the windshield. She smiled, and Marcus understood with a clarity that turned his blood to ice that his mother wasn't finished. Whatever she was planning, it was only just beginning. He drove to the hospital with his heart pounding, one question repeating in his mind over and over. What happened to Grace? What did his mother know, and what was she willing to do to drive Destiny away? The answers were coming, and when they arrived, nothing would ever be the same. Marcus drove through 3 red lights on his way to Boston Children's Hospital. His hands were shaking on the steering wheel. His mind kept racing between the mysterious note in his kitchen, his mother's car parked at the end of his street, and Dr. Webb's voice on the phone saying she'd found something that shouldn't be there. He pulled into the hospital parking lot at 4:47 p.m. and ran through the automatic doors without bothering to lock his car. Dr. Webb was waiting for him in her office. She wasn't alone. A man in a gray suit sat in the corner, a folder open on his lap. "Mr. Sterling, please sit down." "Just tell me what's wrong with my son." Dr. Webb exchanged a glance with the man in the suit. "This is Detective Samuel Harris. He's with the Boston Police Department." Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. "Police? Why are police involved?" Detective Harris stood up. He was tall, with tired eyes, and a face that had seen too much. "Mr. Sterling, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I need you to answer them honestly. What is this about?" "Your son's blood work showed traces of diphenhydramine. That's an antihistamine commonly found in over-the-counter sleep aids. In adults, it causes drowsiness. In infants, it can cause respiratory depression, failure to thrive, and in severe cases, death." Marcus stared at him. The words weren't making sense. They were just sounds, syllables, noise. "Someone has been drugging your son, Mr. Sterling." "That's impossible. The levels in his system are consistent with repeated exposure over several weeks. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate." Marcus's legs gave out. He grabbed the edge of Dr. Webb's desk to keep from falling. "Who?" His voice came out as a whisper. "Who would do this?" "That's what we need to find out. I'm going to need the names of everyone who's had access to your son in the past 3 months." Marcus's mind raced through the list. Mrs. Patterson, Sarah, Melissa. "There was a nanny," he said slowly. "Melissa Hartwell. I fired her 3 weeks ago because Noah's pediatrician noticed he was too drowsy. She admitted to giving him antihistamines to keep him quiet." Detective Harris wrote something in his notebook. "We'll look into her. Anyone else?" Mrs. Chen, my housekeeper. She's been with my family for 15 years. She would never hurt Noah." "Anyone else?" Marcus hesitated. Destiny's face flashed through his mind. "The note in the kitchen. I know what you did to Grace." "Mr. Sterling, is there someone else? I hired a new nanny 3 days ago, Destiny Carter, but she couldn't have done this. The drugging started weeks before she arrived." "We'll need to speak with her anyway. Standard procedure." "She's not involved." "How can you be sure?" "Because I watched her for 3 days," Marcus thought. "Because I saw her love my son like he was her own. Because the only thing she's guilty of is being too good to be true." But he didn't say any of that. He just shook his head. "I'm sure." Detective Harris studied him for a long moment. "Is there anyone else who's had access to your son family members' visitors?" Marcus thought about his mother, her unexpected visit that morning, her smile as she watched his house from the end of the street. "My mother visited today, Eleanor Sterling." "Did she have any time alone with the baby?" "I don't think so, but I wasn't there the whole time." Detective Harris wrote something else. "We'll need to speak with her too." "Wait," Marcus straightened up. "You can't seriously think my mother would drug her own grandson?" "I don't think anything yet, Mr. Sterling. I'm just gathering information, but in my experience these cases usually involve someone close to the family, someone with regular access, someone who wouldn't raise suspicion." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Someone close to the family. "I need to get home," he said. "I need to check on Noah." "Of course, but Mr. Sterling, one more thing." Detective Harris handed him a card. "If you remember anything else, or if anything unusual happens, call me immediately, day or night." Marcus took the card and walked out of the hospital in a daze. In his car, he sat for a full minute before starting the engine. His mind was spinning. Melissa had admitted to drugging Noah. That should have been the end of it. But the levels in his blood work suggested repeated exposure over weeks, not just the few days Melissa was caught, which meant either Melissa had been doing it longer than anyone realized, or someone else was involved, or both. His phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. "Sir, Miss Carter is here. She says she needs to speak with you urgently." Marcus started the car and drove home faster than he should have. He arrived at 5:32 p.m. to find Destiny sitting in the living room. She stood up when he walked in, and he could see she'd been crying. "You came back." "I need to tell you something." Her voice was shaking. "Something I should have told you from the beginning." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "What is it?" Destiny took a deep breath. 2 years ago, when Grace was in the hospital, I couldn't afford her treatment. The insurance company denied the claim, said it was experimental. I was desperate. I would have done anything to save her. She paused, steadying herself. "A woman came to see me. She said she was a philanthropist who helped families in situations like mine. She offered to pay for everything, all of Grace's medical bills. I thought she was an angel." Marcus felt cold spreading through his chest. "Who was she?" "She never told me her real name, just said to call her Eleanor." The room tilted. Marcus grabbed the back of a chair to steady himself. "She visited me every day for a week, asked questions about my life, my family, my past. I told her everything because I trusted her, because I thought she was going to save my daughter's life." Tears were streaming down Destiny's face now. "Then the day before Grace's surgery, she came to see me one last time. She said she'd changed her mind, said she couldn't in good conscience enable someone who clearly wasn't ready to be a parent. Those were her exact words. I begged her. I got down on my knees and begged, but she just walked away." Destiny's voice broke completely. "Grace died the next morning, and I never saw that woman again, until today." Marcus couldn't breathe. "You're saying my mother?" "I didn't know who she was back then. She never told me her last name, but when she walked into your house this morning, I recognized her immediately. The same face, the same voice, the same cold eyes." She looked at Marcus with an expression of raw anguish. "Your mother killed my daughter, Marcus. She had the power to save her, and she chose to let her die. And now she's here in your house, and I don't know why, but I'm scared. I'm scared of what she might do to Noah." Marcus stood frozen. His mind was racing, connecting dots, seeing patterns he'd been blind to before. His mother's sudden interest in finding him a suitable nanny, her fury when he hired Destiny, her obsession with getting rid of the woman from the South Side. It wasn't just prejudice. It was personal. "She knew who you were," Marcus said slowly. "When she came here today, she knew exactly who you were." Destiny nodded. "She looked right at me and smiled, like it was all a game to her." Marcus thought about the note in the kitchen. "I know what you did to Grace. I know what really happened at that hospital. His mother hadn't written that note to expose Destiny. She'd written it to threaten her, to drive her away before anyone could discover the truth about what Eleanor had done. "I have to find her," Marcus said. "I have to confront her." "Marcus, wait." Destiny grabbed his arm. "There's something else. Something I found out just before you got home." She pulled out her phone and showed him a photograph. It was a check, made out to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, for $250,000, dated the day before Grace's surgery, and signed by Eleanor Sterling. "I don't understand," Marcus said. "If she paid the hospital, why did they tell you the money never came through?" "Because it didn't go to Grace's treatment." Destiny's voice was barely a whisper. "I called the hospital this afternoon. The money went to a different patient, a patient named Victoria Sterling." Marcus felt the floor drop out from under him. Victoria, his wife, who had complications during childbirth, who died 6 minutes after holding Noah for the first time. "Your mother paid for your wife's treatment," Destiny said, "with money that was supposed to save my daughter." At 6:15 p.m., Marcus called his mother. She answered on the second ring, her voice sweet as poison. "Marcus, darling, have you come to your senses, or—" "I know what you did." A pause. Then calmly, "What exactly do you think I did?" "You stole money from a dying baby to pay for Victoria's treatment. You let Grace die so Victoria could live." Silence on the other end. And when Victoria died anyway, Marcus continued, his voice shaking, "You decided to make sure no one ever found out. That's why you hate Destiny so much. Not because of where she comes from, because she's a witness. She's proof of what you did." When Eleanor spoke again, her voice was ice. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "Then explain it to me. Explain why you promised to save a baby's life and then took the money away at the last second. Explain why that money ended up paying for Victoria's care. Victoria was your wife, the mother of your child. She was family. Grace was someone's daughter too." "Grace was nobody." Eleanor's voice cracked with sudden fury. "Her mother was a housekeeper from the ghetto. She had no future, no potential, no value. Victoria was a Sterling. She mattered. That baby never did." Marcus felt something shatter inside him, some last remaining hope that his mother wasn't the monster Destiny described. "You're a murderer," he said quietly. "I'm a pragmatist. There wasn't enough money for both Marcus. I had to choose, and I chose the one who mattered." "Victoria died anyway." "That's not the point. The point is I tried. I did everything I could to save her. Can that woman's mother say the same? Destiny did everything she could. You took away her only chance." "Oh, please." Eleanor's laugh was bitter. "Don't tell me you're actually falling for her, the little victim from the projects who just happened to end up caring for your son. You don't find that suspicious? What are you talking about?" "Think about it, Marcus. What are the odds 2 years ago I refused to help some nobody's baby? Now that same nobody shows up at your door, working for you, getting close to your son." Eleanor's voice dropped to a whisper. "She's been planning this for years, and you walked right into her trap." Marcus's grip tightened on the phone. "Destiny didn't even know who you were until today. That's what she wants you to believe. But I've done my research, Marcus. That woman has been obsessed with our family since the day her daughter died. She blames me. She probably blames you too for being my son, and now she has access to your baby. Your helpless, vulnerable baby." The words crawled into Marcus's brain like poison. He tried to push them away, but they kept coming. "The drugs in Noah's system," Eleanor continued. "Did the police tell you about that diphenhydramine, the same drug that would have made Grace sleep before her surgery? Don't you see? She's doing to your son what she thinks I did to hers. That's insane. Is it, or is it the only thing that makes sense?" Marcus's hand was shaking so badly he almost dropped the phone. "You're lying. You're trying to manipulate me. I'm trying to save you, but you're too blind to see it, just like your father was too blind." "What does my father have to do with this?" Eleanor was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer, almost sad. "Your father fell in love with a woman just like Destiny, beautiful, damaged, from the wrong side of the tracks. He was going to leave me for her, leave our family, leave you." Marcus felt the ground shifting under his feet. "I stopped it. I did what I had to do to protect our family, and I'll do it again if I have to." "What did you do to her?" "It doesn't matter anymore. She's gone. The point is, I saved us. I saved you. and I'm trying to save you again, but you won't let me. By destroying Destiny, by framing her for hurting Noah, by removing a threat, by protecting what's ours. Eleanor's voice hardened again. That woman is not who she pretends to be, Marcus, and if you don't see that soon, you're going to lose everything, including your son. The line went dead. Marcus stood in his office phone in hand, his whole body trembling. His mother's words kept echoing in his mind. She's been planning this for years. She's doing to your son what she thinks I did to hers. It couldn't be true. He'd watched Destiny for 3 days. He'd seen her love Noah with his own eyes. But he'd also been wrong before. He'd trusted Melissa completely, and she'd been drugging his son. What if he was wrong about Destiny, too? He walked downstairs and found Destiny in the nursery, rocking Noah in her arms. The baby was asleep, his face peaceful for the first time in months. She looked up when Marcus entered. Her eyes were red but determined. What did she say? Marcus didn't answer right away. He watched her holding his son, looking for any sign of deception, any hint of the monster his mother described. All he saw was love. She said you've been planning this for years, that you came here to hurt Noah as revenge for Grace. Destiny's face went pale. You believe her? Oh, no. Marcus shook his head. But I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Anything. Did you know who I was before you came here? Did you know you were applying to work for Eleanor Sterling's son? Destiny was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. Marcus felt his heart crack. I found out 6 months ago, she said. I was going through Grace's medical records trying to understand what happened. I found the paper trail, the donation that never arrived, the woman who promised to help and then disappeared. She stood up carefully, placing Noah in his crib. I tracked her down. Eleanor Sterling? Wife of Richard Sterling. Mother of Marcus Sterling. I learned everything about your family, your company, your wife's death, your son's birth. So you came here on purpose. I came here to confront her. Destiny's voice was steady now. I was going to apply for a job in her household, get close to her, and make her admit what she did. Make her face the consequences. Marcus felt sick. And Noah? Noah changed everything. Destiny's eyes filled with tears. I didn't expect to love him. I didn't expect to see grace in his eyes. But the moment I held him, I forgot about revenge. I forgot about Eleanor. All I wanted was to save him. She stepped closer to Marcus. I know how this looks. I know you have every reason not to trust me. But I swear on my daughter's grave I would never hurt your son. Never. Marcus looked at her. Looked at Noah sleeping peacefully in his crib. Looked at the complicated mess his life had become. My mother is dangerous, he said finally. More dangerous than I ever realized. She's done terrible things to protect our family, and she'll do more. I know. She's going to come after you. She's going to try to destroy you. I know that too. Then why are you still here? Destiny walked back to the crib and looked down at Noah. Because that little boy needs someone to fight for him. And I made a promise to myself when Grace died. I promised that if I ever got a second chance, I wouldn't run away. I wouldn't let fear win. She turned back to Marcus. I'm not afraid of your mother, Marcus. I'm afraid of what happens to Noah if no one stands up to her. At 8:30 p.m., Detective Harris called. Mr. Sterling, we've located Melissa Hartwell. She's agreed to come in for questioning tomorrow morning, but there's something else you should know. What? We pulled her financial records. 3 weeks before she started working for you, she received a wire transfer of $50,000 from an offshore account. Marcus's grip tightened on the phone. Can you trace where it came from? We're working on it, but offshore accounts are complicated. It could take weeks. What are you saying? I'm saying that Melissa didn't drug your son for fun, Mr. Sterling. Someone paid her to do it, and until we find out who your family is still in danger. After he hung up, Marcus sat in the dark for a long time. Someone had paid Melissa to drug Noah. Someone with access to offshore accounts. Someone with enough money and power to cover their tracks. His mother had offshore accounts. He'd helped her set them up years ago for tax purposes. But why would she drug her own grandson? The answer came to him slowly, terribly. Control. Eleanor had always needed control. Over her husband, over her son, over everyone in her orbit. When Marcus hired Destiny against her wishes, he'd taken that control away. So she found another way to get it back. Make Noah sick. Blame the new nanny. Force Marcus to fire her and come crawling back to Mother for help. It was exactly the kind of twisted logic Eleanor would use. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. Hot. Blinding. Overwhelming. He grabbed his keys and headed for the door. Marcus, wait. Destiny was standing in the hallway, Noah in her arms. "Where are you going?" "To confront my mother, to end this. Not like this, not when you're this angry. She poisoned my son Destiny. She let your daughter die. How am I supposed to be calm?" Destiny walked toward him, her eyes steady. "I've been angry for 2 years, every single day. Angry at God, angry at the world, angry at the woman who killed my daughter. But anger didn't bring Grace back. It just ate me alive from the inside." She reached out and touched his face. "If you go to her like this, she'll use it against you. She'll twist your words, make you look unstable, convince everyone you're the problem, not her. That's what people like her do." "Then what am I supposed to do? Just let her get away with it?" "No, we take her down, but we do it smart. We gather evidence, we build a case. We make sure that when she falls, she doesn't get back up." Marcus looked at her, at the strength in her eyes, the fire that had been forged through loss and pain and survival. "How do you do it?" he asked quietly. "How do you stay so strong?" "I'm not strong. I'm just tired of being broken." Noah stirred in her arms, making a small sound. Destiny looked down at him and smiled. "Besides, I've got a reason to keep fighting now. 2 reasons." Marcus felt something shift in his chest, something that had been frozen for a long time beginning to thaw. "Destiny, I need to tell you something." "What?" "These past few days watching you with Noah, seeing who you really are." He stopped searching for the right words. "I've never met anyone like you, and I know the timing is terrible, and I know I have no right to say this, but..." His phone rang. "Mrs. Chen." "Mr. Sterling, there's someone at the gate. She says she's from the nanny agency. She says you called her." "I didn't call anyone." "She has documentation, sir, and she says she's here to replace Miss Carter immediately." Marcus looked at Destiny. Her face had gone pale. "Don't let her in," Marcus said. "I'll be right there." He hung up and grabbed Destiny's hand. "Stay with Noah. Lock the nursery door. Don't open it for anyone but me." "Marcus, what's happening?" "My mother's making her move." He ran downstairs and out the front door. A woman was standing at the gate, blonde professional looking, holding a folder of documents. Behind her was a black SUV with tinted windows. "Mr. Sterling." The woman smiled. "I'm from Elite Childcare Solutions. Your mother called this afternoon and requested an emergency replacement." "My mother doesn't have the authority to make personnel decisions for my household." The woman's smile faltered. "I'm sorry, I was told." "I don't care what you were told. You're not coming in." "Mr. Sterling?" Mrs. Sterling was very clear. She said the current caregiver poses a threat to your son and that she needs to be removed immediately for the child's safety. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. "The only threat to my son is the person who sent you. Now leave, before I call the police." The woman hesitated, then she pulled out her phone and made a call. "Mrs. Sterling, we have a problem." Marcus heard his mother's voice through the phone, sharp and commanding, but he couldn't make out the words. The woman hung up and looked at him with cold eyes. "Your mother wants me to deliver a message. She says you have until midnight to make the right choice. After that, she'll make it for you." She turned and walked back to the SUV. Marcus watched it drive away, his heart pounding. Midnight, 5 hours away. He pulled out his phone and called Detective Harris. "I need to report a threat against my son, and I think I know who's behind it." At 11:45 p.m., Marcus sat in his living room with Detective Harris and 2 uniformed officers. "Based on the financial records and witness statements, we have enough for a warrant," Harris said. "But I have to warn you, Mr. Sterling, arresting your mother is going to be complicated. She has lawyers, resources, connections." "I don't care. She tried to kill my son." "We don't have direct proof of that yet. What we have is circumstantial evidence linking her to the payments made to Melissa Hartwell. It's enough to bring her in for questioning, but a conviction is a long shot." "Then what am I supposed to do? Wait until she actually hurts someone?" Before Harris could answer, the doorbell rang. Mrs. Chen appeared in the doorway, her face white. "It's Mrs. Sterling, sir. She's at the door, and she's not alone." Marcus stood up. "Who's with her?" "A man in a suit. He says he's from Child Protective Services." The room went silent. "She wouldn't," Marcus whispered. But even as he said it, he knew she would. This was Eleanor's nuclear option. If she couldn't drive Destiny away, she'd have Noah taken away instead. Frame Destiny as a danger to the child. Use her connections to make it look legitimate. "Detective, can she do this?" Harris's face was grim. If she's filed a report alleging child endangerment, CPS is required to investigate, even if the allegations are false. And if they find the drugs in Noah's system, they'll look for someone to blame. And your mother has already told them exactly who to blame. Marcus felt the walls closing in around him. Eleanor walked through the door, the CPS officer at her side. Her smile was triumphant. "Hello, darling, I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen." She looked past him toward the stairs. "Now where's that woman? I believe we have some questions to ask her." Marcus stepped in front of the stairs, blocking her path. "You're not going near her, or my son. This isn't your decision anymore, Marcus." Eleanor gestured to the CPS officer. "Mr. Bradley, please proceed with the investigation." The officer stepped forward, his face apologetic but firm. "Mr. Sterling, we've received a report of suspected child abuse. I need to interview everyone in the household and examine the child. If you obstruct this investigation, I'll have no choice but to involve law enforcement." "Law enforcement is already here." Detective Harris stepped forward, badge in hand. "And we're conducting our own investigation into Eleanor Sterling." Eleanor's smile flickered. "Excuse me." "Ma'am, we have evidence suggesting you paid a former employee to administer harmful substances to your grandson. I'm going to need you to come with me for questioning." For one brief, beautiful moment, Marcus saw fear in his mother's eyes. Then her mask slammed back into place. "This is absurd. I'm calling my lawyer." "You can call whoever you want. From the station." Harris nodded to the uniformed officers. They moved toward Eleanor. "Don't touch me." Her voice was a hiss. "Do you know who I am? Do you know who my family is?" "Yes, ma'am. That's exactly why we're being so careful." As the officers escorted Eleanor toward the door, she turned and looked at Marcus with eyes full of venom. "You're making a mistake, a terrible mistake. That woman has poisoned you against your own family, and when you realize the truth, it'll be too late." "Goodbye, Mother." "This isn't over, Marcus, not by a long shot." The door closed behind her. Marcus stood in the silence, his whole body shaking. Then he heard footsteps on the stairs. Destiny was standing there, Noah in her arms. Tears were streaming down her face. "Is it over?" she whispered. Marcus walked to her and wrapped his arms around both of them. "No," he said quietly. "It's just beginning, but whatever comes next, we face it together." Noah stirred between them, making a small sound, and for the first time in a very long time, it sounded almost like a laugh. The police station released Eleanor Sterling at 2:47 a.m. Marcus got the call from Detective Harris while he was still sitting in the living room, unable to sleep, unable to think about anything except what his mother had said before they took her away. "Her lawyers showed up within an hour," Harris explained, his voice heavy with frustration. "They posted bail before we could even finish processing her. She's out, Mr. Sterling, and she's angry." "What about the evidence, the payments to Melissa?" "Her legal team is already spinning it. They're claiming Eleanor donated money to a childcare training program and that Melissa happened to be a recipient. They're saying any connection between the payment and what happened to your son is coincidental." Marcus felt the ground shifting beneath him. "That's insane. Nobody's going to believe that." "You'd be surprised what people believe when enough money is involved. I'm sorry, Mr. Sterling. We'll keep investigating, but you need to be prepared. This could take months, maybe longer." "What am I supposed to do in the meantime? Wait for her to try something else. Document everything. Keep your security tight. And whatever you do, don't let your son out of your sight." Marcus hung up and stared at the phone in his hand. Destiny appeared in the doorway, Noah sleeping against her shoulder. She didn't need to ask. She could read the answer on his face. "She's out." Her lawyers got her released. Destiny closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, there was no surprise there. Only resignation. "I knew she wouldn't go down that easily. Women like her never do." "This isn't over. Harris said they're still investigating." "And how long will that take? Weeks, months, years?" Destiny shook her head. "We don't have that kind of time, Marcus. She's not going to stop. Not until she gets what she wants." "What does she want?" "Control, over you, over Noah, over everything." Destiny looked down at the sleeping baby in her arms. "And as long as I'm here, she doesn't have it." Marcus walked to her and placed his hand on her shoulder. "You're not going anywhere." "I know, but that means she's going to keep coming. Keep pushing, keep finding new ways to hurt us." She looked up at him with tired eyes. "Are you ready for that? Really ready?" Before Marcus could answer, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Check your email. You need to see what I found." R. Marcus frowned. R. Raymond Chen. He opened his laptop and logged into his email. There was a new message from Raymond's personal account sent 5 minutes ago. Marcus, I've been digging into your mother's finances like you asked. I found something. Something big. Call me as soon as you get this. Don't tell anyone else. Not even the police. Not yet. Marcus looked at Destiny. I need to make a call. Can you stay with Noah? Of course. He went to his office and dialed Raymond's number. His partner answered on the first ring. Marcus, thank God. Are you alone? Yes, what did you find? Your mother has a second account, offshore, in the Cayman Islands. She's been moving money through it for over 20 years. I know about her offshore accounts. I helped set them up. Not this one. This one is different. It's in a different name, a name I've never heard before. Marcus felt ice spreading through his veins. What name? Victoria Hayes. The world stopped. Victoria, his wife's maiden name. That's impossible. Victoria died 6 years ago. I know, but this account was opened 12 years ago and it's still active. There have been regular deposits every month right up until last week. Marcus's mind was racing. How much money are we talking about? Over the years, almost $8 million. $8 million? Where's it going? That's what I'm trying to figure out. The withdrawals are all cash, no paper trail. But Marcus, there's something else. What? The account activity spiked 2 years ago, right around the time your mother made that donation to the hospital, the one that was supposed to help Destiny's daughter. Marcus felt sick. Are you saying the money that was supposed to save Grace? I'm saying your mother has been running some kind of secret financial operation for over a decade, and whatever it is, it's connected to Victoria, to the hospital, to everything. I need to see those records. I'll send them to your secure email, but Marcus, be careful. If your mother finds out we're looking into this, there's no telling what she might do. Marcus hung up and sat in the darkness of his office, trying to make sense of what he'd just heard. His mother had an account in Victoria's name. An account that existed before Victoria even met Marcus. An account that was still active 6 years after Victoria's death. What the hell was going on? At 4:15 a.m., Marcus received the files from Raymond. He spent the next 2 hours going through them page by page, transaction by transaction. The more he read, the more confused he became. The account showed regular deposits from multiple sources, some from shell companies, some from individual donors, some from organizations Marcus had never heard of. The withdrawals were all cash made at banks across the country, never the same location twice. It looked like a money laundering operation. But for what purpose? And why was it in Victoria's name? Then he found something that made his blood run cold. A single transaction dated 6 years ago. The day Victoria died. A withdrawal of $200,000. Cash. Made at a bank in Boston. The same day, the same city, the same amount that Victoria's medical bills totaled. Marcus stared at the screen, his mind refusing to accept what he was seeing. His mother had withdrawn money from a secret account on the day his wife died. Money that exactly matched Victoria's hospital bills. But Victoria's bills had been paid by insurance. He'd seen the statements himself. Unless they hadn't. Unless everything he thought he knew about his wife's death was a lie. At 6:30 a.m., Marcus drove to Boston General Hospital. He walked into the administrative office and asked to see the billing records for Victoria Sterling, deceased from 6 years ago. The clerk was reluctant at first, but when Marcus explained who he was and showed his identification, she made a phone call and disappeared into a back room. 15 minutes later, she returned with a folder. I'm sorry, Mr. Sterling, there must be some mistake. What kind of mistake? According to our records, the bills for Victoria Sterling's treatment were paid in full, but not by insurance. Marcus felt the floor tilting beneath him. Then who paid them? The clerk looked down at the folder, then back up at him with confusion in her eye. You did, Mr. Sterling? The payment was made in your name? Cash? The day after your wife passed away? Marcus stood there, unable to speak. He had never made that payment. He had never even known there was a payment to be made. The insurance company had sent him confirmation. Everything was supposed to be covered. But someone had paid $200,000 in cash in his name the day after Victoria died, and that someone had access to his mother's secret account. At 8:00 a.m., Marcus returned home to find Destiny waiting for him in the kitchen. Where were you? Her voice was tight with worry. I tried calling, but you didn't answer. I was at the hospital, looking into something. What something? Marcus sat down heavily at the kitchen table. His whole body felt like it was made of lead. My mother has a secret account, in my wife's name. She's been using it to move money around for over 20 years. Destiny sat down across from him. What kind of money? I don't know yet, but there's more. He looked at her with hollow eyes. On the day Victoria died, someone withdrew $200,000 from that account and used it to pay her hospital bills, in my name. But you said insurance covered everything. That's what I thought. That's what I was told, but it was a lie. Someone paid cash, someone who wanted to make sure there was no paper trail. Destiny's face went pale. Your mother. It has to be. But why? Why would she pay Victoria's bills secretly? Why would she use an account in Victoria's name? Why would she pretend the insurance covered it? Maybe she didn't want you to know how much money she had, or where it came from. But that doesn't explain the rest of it. The deposits, the shell companies, the years of activity before Victoria and I even met. Destiny was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly she said, Marcus, what if Victoria wasn't who you thought she was? The words hit him like a physical blow. What are you talking about? You said the account was opened 12 years ago, in Victoria's name. How long were you married? 6 years. We dated for 2 before that. So the account existed 4 years before you even met her. Destiny leaned forward. What if Victoria was part of whatever your mother was doing? What if their connection went back further than you realized? That's impossible. Victoria hated my mother. They barely spoke. Or that's what they wanted you to believe. Marcus shook his head. No, Victoria was genuine. She loved me. She loved Noah. She wouldn't have been part of something like this. How can you be sure? Because I knew her. I knew every part of her. Did you really? Destiny's voice was gentle but insistent. Because I thought I knew the woman who came to the hospital to help Grace. I thought she was an angel, and look how that turned out. Marcus wanted to argue, wanted to defend the memory of his wife, but a small voice in the back of his mind was asking the same questions Destiny was asking. What if he hadn't known Victoria at all? At 10:00 a.m., Eleanor called. Marcus stared at his phone, watching his mother's name flash on the screen. He almost didn't answer, but something made him press the button. What do you want? I want to talk, face to face, just the two of us. Why would I agree to that? Because I have information you need. About Victoria. About what really happened the day she died. Eleanor's voice was calm, controlled. Meet me at the Four Seasons. 1 hour. Come alone or you'll never learn the truth. The line went dead. Marcus looked at Destiny. She wants to meet. It's a trap. Maybe, but she says she knows what really happened to Victoria. She's lying. She's always lying. What if she's not? Marcus stood up and grabbed his keys. What if she's the only one who knows the truth? Then she'll use it against you. That's what she does. She takes your weaknesses and turns them into weapons. I have to know Destiny. I have to know what happened to my wife. Destiny grabbed his arm. Then let me come with you. She said come alone. I don't care what she said. You're not walking into that woman's trap without backup. Marcus looked at her, at the fire in her eyes, the determination on her face. What about Noah? Mrs. Chen can watch him for an hour. He's sleeping anyway. Marcus hesitated, then he nodded. Okay, but stay out of sight. If something goes wrong, call Detective Harris. At 11:15 a.m., Marcus walked into the Four Seasons Hotel. Eleanor was waiting for him in a private lounge on the top floor. She looked different than she had at the police station. Composed, almost serene. You came. I wasn't sure you would. You said you have information about Victoria. I do. Eleanor gestured to the chair across from her. Sit down. This is going to be difficult to hear. Marcus sat. His hands were clenched into fists under the table. Victoria wasn't who you thought she was, Eleanor began. She wasn't a sweet girl from a middle-class family who fell in love with my son. She was a professional, a con artist, and I paid her to marry you. The words didn't register at first. They were just sounds, noise. That's insane. Think about it, Marcus. How did you meet Victoria? At a charity event. She was a volunteer. A charity event that I organized, at which I specifically placed her to cross your path. Marcus felt his chest tightening. You're lying. I wish I was. But Victoria was working for me long before she met you. I found her when she was 19, homeless, desperate. I gave her a job, trained her, refined her, turned her into the perfect wife for my son. Why would you do that? Because you were spiraling. After college, you had no direction, no ambition. You were wasting your potential on meaningless flings and failed businesses. I needed to motivate you, to give you something to fight for. So you hired someone to seduce me. I hired someone to save you, and it worked. After you met Victoria, you transformed. You became the man I always knew you could be. You built an empire, made billions, became worthy of the Sterling name. Marcus stood up so fast his chair fell over. You're telling me my entire marriage was a lie, that Victoria never loved me. I'm telling you that Victoria did exactly what I paid her to do, and she did it brilliantly. Eleanor's voice softened slightly. But I'll give her this, Marcus. Somewhere along the way, I think she did fall in love with you, the baby especially. She wasn't supposed to get pregnant. That wasn't part of the plan. What plan? What are you talking about? The plan was for Victoria to stay married to you until you reached a certain level of success. Then we would stage a divorce. She would leave with a generous settlement, and you would move on to someone more suitable. But she got pregnant. Yes, and she refused to terminate. Said she wanted to keep the baby, wanted to be a real family. Eleanor shook her head. That's when things got complicated. Marcus's mind was reeling. The complications during delivery. The doctors said what they were paid to say. Eleanor met his eyes without flinching. Victoria's death wasn't an accident, Marcus. It was a solution. The room spun. Marcus grabbed the edge of the table to keep from falling. You killed her. You killed my wife. I removed a liability. Victoria was going to tell you everything. She called me the night before the delivery. Said she couldn't live with the lies anymore. Said she was going to confess. So you murdered her. I did what was necessary to protect our family. To protect you. Eleanor stood up and walked toward him. Everything I've done, Marcus, I've done for you. The lies, the manipulation, even the things that seem unforgivable. It was all for you. Marcus backed away from her. Stay away from me. I know you're angry. I expected that. But think about it, Marcus. If Victoria had told you the truth, what would have happened? You would have destroyed yourself, lost everything, the company, your reputation, your future. I would have had the truth. The truth is overrated. Eleanor's voice hardened. The truth doesn't build empires. It doesn't protect families. It doesn't keep the wolves away from the door. Only power does that. And I have spent my entire life making sure you have power. By murdering people, by paying someone to drug my son. I never meant for Noah to be hurt. Melissa was supposed to make him sick enough that you'd fire the new nanny and come back to me, back to people you can trust. Trust? Marcus laughed bitterly. You don't know the meaning of the word. I know more than you realize. Eleanor reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. Before you decide to hate me forever, there's one more thing you should see. She placed the folder on the table. Marcus stared at it like it was a snake. What is that? It's everything I have on Destiny Carter. The real Destiny Carter. Not the sob story she's been feeding you. Marcus didn't move. I don't want to see it. Yes, you do, because if you're going to throw away your family for that woman, you should at least know who she really is. Against his better judgment, Marcus picked up the folder and opened it. The first page was a police report, an arrest record, for Destiny Marie Carter. Age 16. Charged grand theft auto. The second page was another report. Age 17. Assault and battery. The third page was a photograph. Destiny younger, harder, standing next to a man covered in gang tattoos. Marcus felt his stomach turn. This doesn't prove anything. People change. Keep reading. The fourth page was a court document, a custody hearing, for a child named Grace Marie Carter, and the petitioner wasn't Destiny, it was Eleanor Sterling. Marcus looked up at his mother, his blood running cold. What is this? 2 years ago, when I met Destiny at the hospital, I felt sorry for her. I know that's hard to believe, but I did. She reminded me of myself at that age, desperate, angry, determined to survive. Eleanor sat back down, her face unreadable. I offered to help her, not with money, with guidance, resources. I introduced her to people who could help her turn her life around, and in exchange, I asked for one thing. What? Access to Grace. I wanted to be part of the child's life, a mentor, a grandmother figure. Marcus shook his head. That doesn't make sense. You said you let Grace die. I said I withdrew my financial support, but that was only after Destiny betrayed me. Betrayed you how? She found out who I was, who you were, and she tried to blackmail me. Said if I didn't give her $500,000, she would go public with everything. Tell you what really happened to Victoria. Destroy our family. Marcus felt the ground shifting under his feet. You're lying. Am I? Look at the last page of that folder. Marcus turned to the final document. It was a letter, handwritten, addressed to Eleanor Sterling. I know what you did to Victoria. I know you had her killed. Give me $500,000 or I will tell your son everything, and then I will take everything he has. The signature at the bottom was unmistakable. Destiny Carter. At 12:30 p.m., Marcus walked out of the Four Seasons in a daze. Destiny was waiting for him in the lobby, her face tight with worry. What happened? What did she say? Marcus couldn't look at her, couldn't speak. He just kept walking out the door into the parking lot toward his car. Marcus, talk to me. What's wrong? He stopped, turned, held up the folder. Is this true? Destiny's face went pale when she saw the documents. Where did you get that? My mother. She showed me everything. The arrest records, the custody petition, the blackmail letter. Marcus, I can explain. Is it true? His voice cracked. Did you try to blackmail my mother? Did you threaten to destroy my family? Destiny's eyes filled with tears. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. Tell me the truth. All of it. Right now. Destiny took a deep breath. Her hands were shaking. Yes, I wrote that letter, but I never sent it. Then how did she get it? I don't know. I wrote it when I was angry after Grace died. I wanted revenge. I wanted Eleanor to suffer the way I was suffering. But I never actually tried to blackmail her. I threw that letter away. She has the original Destiny in your handwriting. She must have gone through my trash, had someone watching me. Destiny grabbed his arm. Marcus, think about it. She's had 2 years to prepare for this moment. 2 years to gather ammunition against me. She knew this day would come. And the arrest records, the assault charge, the gang connections. I was 16. I made mistakes. I hung out with the wrong people, but I got out. I changed. Did you? Or is this just another version of you, another mask? The words hit Destiny like physical blows. She stepped back, tears streaming down her face. After everything we've been through, you still don't trust me. I don't know what to believe anymore. My wife was a lie. My mother is a murderer. And now I find out the woman I was starting to fall for might have been playing me from the beginning. I wasn't playing you. I'm not like Victoria. I'm not working for your mother. Then explain the custody petition. Why was Eleanor trying to get custody of Grace? Destiny's face crumpled. Because I asked her to. Marcus stared at her. What? When Grace was in the hospital, when I knew she wasn't going to make it, I asked Eleanor to adopt her, officially, so that when I died, when you died, Destiny wiped her eyes. I was planning to kill myself, Marcus. After Grace was gone, I had nothing left to live for. No family, no hope. Nothing. She took a shuddering breath. I asked Eleanor to take Grace because I wanted my daughter to have a chance. Even if I wasn't around to see it, I wanted her to grow up with money and opportunity and all the things I never had. But Grace died before any of that could happen. Yes, and Eleanor withdrew her support the day before the surgery. She said she couldn't adopt a dead child. Those were her exact words. Marcus felt like he was drowning. Every time he thought he understood what was happening, another wave crashed over him. So you didn't blackmail her? I wrote the letter. I was angry enough to do it, but I couldn't go through with it, because even after everything, I still had some shred of dignity left. Then how did she get the letter? I don't know. Maybe she had people watching me. Maybe she went through my apartment after I moved. But Marcus, don't you see? She's been planning this for years, building a case against me, waiting for the perfect moment to use it. Marcus looked at the folder in his hands, at the evidence his mother had so carefully assembled. This doesn't change what she did, what she admitted to doing. No, it doesn't, but it changes how you see me, doesn't it? Marcus couldn't answer, because the truth was he didn't know anymore. He didn't know who to trust, who to believe, who was telling the truth and who was lying. His phone rang. Mrs. Chen. Mr. Sterling, you need to come home, now. What's wrong? It's Noah. He's not breathing. Marcus dropped the folder and ran. At 1:15 p.m., Marcus burst through the front door of his house. Mrs. Chen was in the living room, her face white with terror. The ambulance is on the way. I found him in his crib. He was blue. Marcus ran upstairs, taking the stairs 3 at a time. Noah was lying in his crib perfectly still. Too still. Marcus grabbed his son and felt for a pulse. It was there, faint but present. Come on, buddy, come on, stay with me. He started infant CPR, the motions automatic, driven by pure desperation. 1 breath, 2 compressions, 1 breath, 2 compressions. Please, please, God, don't take him too. Behind him, he heard Destiny enter the room. heard her gasp of horror. What happened? What's wrong with him? I don't know. Mrs. Chen found him like this. Destiny dropped to her knees beside them. Let me help. I know CPR. Jickle. They worked together, trading off, keeping Noah's tiny heart pumping until they heard the sirens in the distance. The paramedics arrived at 1:23 p.m. They took over immediately, their movements fast and efficient. He's breathing again, one of them announced. Weak pulse but stable. We need to get him to the hospital now. They loaded Noah onto a stretcher and carried him to the ambulance. Marcus followed, his heart pounding, his mind racing. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't coincidence. Someone had done this to his son, and he knew exactly who. At 2:00 p.m., Marcus stood in the emergency room at Boston Children's Hospital waiting for news. Detective Harris arrived 20 minutes later, his face grim. We tested the baby's blood, same as before, diphenhydramine, but this time the levels were much higher, almost fatal. My mother Marcus said. She did this. We can't prove that yet. She admitted to paying Melissa. She admitted to having Victoria killed. She told me everything. Did you record the conversation? Marcus felt his stomach drop. No. Then it's her word against yours, and her lawyers are already claiming she was coerced, that you threatened her. That's insane. I know, but without evidence, we can't touch her. Harris put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. I'm sorry, I really am. Marcus walked to the window and stared out at the city. His mother was out there somewhere, free, untouchable, and she had just tried to kill his son. Destiny appeared beside him. There has to be something we can do. Like what? She has lawyers, money, connections. She can make anything disappear. Not everything. Destiny's voice was quiet but determined. She can't make me disappear, and she can't make what she did to Grace disappear. What are you saying? I'm saying we stop playing defense. We stop reacting to her moves and start making our own. Marcus turned to look at her. How? Your mother has spent 2 years building a case against me, gathering evidence, preparing for this moment. Destiny's eyes were hard now, focused. But she forgot one thing. I've been preparing too. What do you mean? After Grace died, I didn't just grieve. I investigated. I tracked down every person who worked at that hospital, every nurse, every doctor, every administrator. I found out who Eleanor paid off, who she threatened, who she made disappear. She pulled out her phone and showed him a list of names. These are the people who know what really happened, who saw Eleanor at the hospital that day, who heard her make the decision to let Grace die. Marcus stared at the list. There had to be at least 20 names. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I wasn't sure I could trust you. I wasn't sure you wouldn't run straight to your mother with everything I told you. And now I know exactly where we stand. Destiny looked toward the room where Noah was being treated. She tried to kill your son Marcus. There's no coming back from that. No pretending. No reconciliation. She turned back to him, her expression fierce. So, are you ready to take her down? For real this time? Marcus thought about Victoria, about Noah, about Grace, about all the lives his mother had destroyed in the name of protecting their family. Yes, he said, I'm ready. At 4:30 p.m., Noah was moved to a private room. The doctor said he would recover, but he needed to be monitored closely for the next 48 hours. The drug levels in his system were dangerously high. Marcus sat beside his son's bed, holding his tiny hand, watching his chest rise and fall. Destiny came in with coffee. She handed him a cup and sat down beside him. I got a call from one of my contacts, a nurse named Patricia who worked at the hospital when Grace was there. What did she say? She's willing to talk, to tell the police everything she knows about Eleanor's involvement in Grace's death. Will that be enough? By itself, no, but combined with the financial records Raymond found and the testimony of the other witnesses, we might have enough to bring charges. Marcus looked at her. And what about you if all of this comes out? Your past comes out too. The arrest records, the letter? I know. Destiny's voice was steady. But I'm done hiding. I'm done being afraid of what people might think of me. If my past is the price I have to pay to stop Eleanor, then I'll pay it. Marcus reached out and took her hand. You're the bravest person I've ever met. I'm not brave, I'm just tired of running. She squeezed his hand, and I have something worth fighting for now. She looked at Noah sleeping peacefully in his hospital bed. 2 somethings, actually. At 6:00 p.m., Marcus's phone rang. It was his mother. He almost didn't answer, but something made him press the button. Hello, Mother? How is my grandson? Like you care. I do care, Marcus. Despite what you think, I love Noah. I would never intentionally hurt him. Tell that to the drugs in his system. I had nothing to do with that this time. Marcus laughed bitterly. This time. So you admit to the other times. I admit that I made mistakes, that I trusted the wrong people, that things got out of control. Eleanor's voice softened. But Marcus, I'm calling to warn you, not to threaten you. Warn me about what... Destiny Carter is not who she claims to be. She's not just a grieving mother seeking justice. She's a predator, and you're her prey. I've seen your file, Mother, the arrest records, the letter. I've also heard Destiny's side of the story. And you believe her. I believe she's been more honest with me than you've ever been. Silence on the other end. Then quietly, she's using you, Marcus. Just like Victoria did, just like everyone does. The only person who has ever truly loved you is me. If this is love, I don't want it. You'll regret this. When she takes everything from you, when she destroys everything we've built, you'll wish you'd listened to me. Goodbye, Mother. Marcus, wait. There's one more thing you should know. What? The night Victoria died, she called someone, right before the delivery, someone who wasn't supposed to be involved. Marcus felt his blood turn cold. Who? Ask Destiny. Ask her where she was the night your wife died. Ask her why she was at the hospital, and ask her what she and Victoria talked about. The line went dead. Marcus stared at his phone, his mind spinning. Destiny had been at the hospital. The night Victoria died. She had talked to Victoria, and she had never told him. He looked up at Destiny sitting across from him, watching Noah sleep. She met his eyes and saw something there that made her face go pale. What is it? What did she say? Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. Were you at the hospital the night my wife died? Destiny's face crumpled. Marcus, I can explain. Were you there? A long silence. Then so quietly he almost couldn't hear it. Yes, I was there. The hospital room fell silent. Marcus could hear the beeping of Noah's heart monitor steady and slow, counting the seconds that stretched between them like years. You were there, he repeated, the night my wife died. You were at the hospital. Destiny didn't look away. Her eyes were filled with tears, but her voice was steady when she spoke. Victoria called me. Called you? How did she even know who you were? She didn't, not at first. Destiny took a deep breath. The call came through the hospital switchboard. She asked for the mother of Grace Carter, said she had information about Eleanor Sterling that I needed to hear. Marcus felt his legs give out. He sat down heavily in the chair beside Noah's bed, his mind racing. Victoria knew about you, about Grace. She knew everything. She told me she'd been working for your mother for years, that Eleanor had paid her to marry you, that their whole relationship was built on lies. Why would she tell you that? Because she was scared. Destiny wiped her eyes. She said Eleanor had found out she was planning to confess everything to you, that she was afraid of what Eleanor might do. So she called you a complete stranger. She called me because I was the only one who would believe her, the only one who knew what Eleanor was capable of. Destiny's voice broke. She said if anything happened to her, she wanted someone to know the truth, someone who could protect you and the baby. Marcus stared at her, trying to process what he was hearing. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I wasn't sure you'd believe me, and because... She hesitated. Because there's more. Something I haven't told anyone. What? Destiny closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, there was something raw and painful in her expression. Victoria told me she knew where the money went, the money that was supposed to save Grace. She said Eleanor transferred it at the last minute to pay for her own medical care, but there was a problem. What problem? Victoria didn't need the money. Her treatment was already covered by a different fund, a fund your mother had set up years earlier. Marcus felt cold spreading through his chest. So where did the money go? Victoria didn't know for sure, but she had a theory. Destiny's voice dropped to a whisper. She thought Eleanor used Grace's money to pay someone off, someone at the hospital, someone who could make problems disappear. What kind of problems? The kind that come in the delivery room. The words hit Marcus like a knife. You're saying my mother used the money meant to save your daughter to pay someone to kill my wife. I'm saying that's what Victoria believed, and I think she was right. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. His whole body was shaking. This doesn't make sense. Why would my mother want Victoria dead? She spent years setting up their relationship. Why throw it all away? Because Victoria was going to talk. She was going to tell you everything, and Eleanor couldn't let that happen. So she killed her, the woman she paid to marry me, the mother of her grandchild. Eleanor doesn't care about people, Marcus. She cares about control, about power, about protecting the Sterling name at any cost. Destiny walked up behind him. Victoria wasn't a person to her. She was an asset, and when that asset became a liability, Eleanor eliminated her. Marcus turned around. How do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know this isn't just another manipulation? You don't. Destiny met his eyes without flinching. But I can prove it. Victoria gave me something that night, something she said would prove everything if she didn't survive. What? Destiny reached into her pocket and pulled out a small USB drive. She recorded her conversations with Eleanor. Every phone call, every meeting, every instruction, it's all here. Marcus stared at the drive. You've had this for 6 years, and you never told anyone. I tried. I went to the police a week after Victoria died. They wouldn't even look at it. Said they couldn't investigate a case based on illegally recorded conversations. Said Eleanor's lawyers would eat them alive. So you just held on to it. I was waiting for the right moment, the right person. Destiny pressed the drive into his hand. I think you're that person, Marcus. I think you're the only one who can take her down. At 7:15 p.m., Marcus plugged the USB drive into his laptop. The files were organized by date starting from almost 8 years ago. There were hundreds of recordings, thousands of hours of conversations. He clicked on the first file. His mother's voice filled the room. Victoria, I need you to understand something. Marcus can never know about our arrangement. If he finds out everything we've worked for will be destroyed. Victoria's voice responded younger than Marcus remembered, uncertain. I understand, Mrs. Sterling, but what if he asks about my past? What do I tell him? You tell him whatever you need to tell him. You're an actress now, Victoria. Play the part. Marcus closed his eyes. The pain was overwhelming. Every memory he had of Victoria, every moment they'd shared, every word she'd ever spoken, all of it was built on lies. Destiny sat beside him, her hand on his shoulder. I'm sorry, I know this hurts. Just keep playing them. He listened to recording after recording, his mother instructing Victoria on how to behave, what to say, how to handle Marcus's moods, how to get pregnant at the right time to seal the marriage. Then he reached a file dated 1 week before Victoria died. Eleanor, I can't do this anymore. I love him. I love Noah. I can't keep lying. You'll do whatever I tell you to do. That was our agreement. Agreements change. I've changed. I'm going to tell Marcus everything. Silence. Then cold as ice. If you do that, Victoria, I will destroy you. I will take away everything you have, including that baby. You can't threaten me anymore. I'm not afraid of you. You should be, because I don't make threats, Victoria. I make promises. The recording ended. Marcus sat frozen, staring at the screen. His mother had threatened Victoria, threatened to take Noah, threatened to destroy her. And 1 week later, Victoria was dead. At 8:30 p.m., Detective Harris arrived at the hospital. Marcus handed him the USB drive and explained everything, the recordings, Victoria's call to Destiny, the money trail, all of it. Harris listened without interruption. When Marcus finished, the detective's face was grim. This changes everything. If these recordings are authentic, we have enough to bring murder charges against your mother. How long will it take to verify them? A few days, maybe a week. Our tech team will need to analyze the audio, confirm the voices, check for any signs of tampering. And in the meantime, Eleanor Sterling is still a free woman. Harris looked at Noah sleeping peacefully in his hospital bed. I'm going to post officers outside this room, round the clock. No one gets in without my authorization. You think she'll try something. I think your mother is a cornered animal, and cornered animals are the most dangerous. After Harris left, Marcus sat alone with Noah and Destiny. The silence stretched between them, heavy with everything that had been said and everything that remained unspoken. I owe you an apology, Marcus finally said. Destiny looked up. For what? For doubting you, for believing my mother's lies, for not trusting you when you've done nothing but try to help. You had every reason to doubt me. I kept secrets from you, important secrets. You kept them because you were trying to protect me. I kept them because I was scared. Destiny's voice cracked. I was scared that if you knew the truth, you'd think I was just as bad as your mother, that I was using you. Are you... No. She met his eyes directly. I came here looking for justice, for revenge. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Noah changed me. You changed me. How? You made me believe that not everyone with money and power is corrupt, that some people actually care about doing the right thing. She smiled sadly. I know it sounds naive, but after everything I've been through, naive is a luxury I never thought I'd have again. Marcus reached out and took her hand. It's not naive, it's hope, and hope is the only thing that's going to get us through this. At 10:20 p.m., Marcus's phone rang. The caller ID showed Raymond Chen. Marcus, we have a problem. What now? I was digging deeper into your mother's offshore accounts, and I found something bad. How bad? Bad enough that I think we need to involve the FBI. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Tell me. The account in Victoria's name isn't just for moving money around. It's connected to a network, dozens of other accounts all over the world. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. For what? I don't know yet, but some of the money has been traced to shell companies that own medical facilities, pharmaceutical suppliers, clinical trial labs. Marcus's mind raced. My mother is involved in the medical industry. It looks like she's been building a secret empire, one that operates completely outside the public eye. And Marcus, Raymond's voice dropped. Some of these facilities specialize in experimental treatments, the kind that aren't approved by the FDA. Like what? Like the treatment that could have saved Grace Carter's daughter. The room spun. Marcus grabbed the edge of the bed to steady himself. Are you saying my mother has access to treatments that could save lives, and she's deliberately withholding them? I'm saying it looks like your mother has been playing God for a very long time, deciding who lives and who dies based on whatever criteria she sees fit. Why would she do that? Control? Power? The same reasons she does everything. Raymond paused. But there's more. One of the facilities is right here in Boston, and according to the records, it received a massive influx of cash about a week ago. How massive, though? $5 million. Marcus thought about Noah, about the drugs in his system, about his mother's constant attempts to get Destiny fired. What's the address? Marcus, you can't go there alone. If your mother finds out, what's the address, Raymond? A long pause, then Raymond gave him the information. Marcus hung up and looked at Destiny. I need to go somewhere. Can you stay with Noah? Where are you going? To find out what my mother is really up to. Destiny grabbed his arm. You can't go alone. It's too dangerous. I don't have a choice. If there's any chance my mother is using that facility to hurt more people, I have to stop her. Then let me come with you. Someone needs to stay with Noah. The officers outside can watch him. Harris said no one gets in without authorization. Marcus hesitated. He looked at his son sleeping peacefully, monitors beeping steadily. Okay, but we go in, we get evidence, and we get out. No confrontations. No heroics. Deal. At 11:30 p.m., Marcus and Destiny arrived at the address Raymond had given them. It was a warehouse on the outskirts of Boston in an industrial area that had seen better days. The building looked abandoned from the outside, with boarded-up windows and graffiti on the walls. But Marcus noticed the security cameras, the reinforced door, the expensive cars parked in the back lot. This doesn't look like a medical facility, Destiny whispered. It's not supposed to. That's the point. They circled the building looking for a way in. Finally, they found a side door that had been left slightly ajar. Marcus pushed it open slowly. Inside the building was completely different from its exterior. Clean white walls, bright fluorescent lights, the hum of sophisticated equipment. It looked like a hospital. A very expensive, very secret hospital. They moved through the corridors, quietly checking doors, looking for any sign of what this place was used for. Then Destiny stopped. Marcus, look at this. She was standing in front of a door with a small window. Inside, Marcus could see rows of beds, each one occupied by a child. Children hooked up to machines. Children with tubes in their arms. Children who looked like they were barely alive. Oh my God, Destiny breathed. What is this place? Marcus pushed open the door and walked inside. The children didn't respond. Most of them appeared to be sedated. Their faces were pale, their bodies thin and frail. Destiny rushed to the nearest bed and checked the chart hanging from the rail. These are clinical trial patients, children with terminal illnesses who are enrolled in experimental treatment programs. Treatment programs run by my mother. It looks like it. Destiny flipped through the pages. But Marcus, these treatments aren't helping them. Look at the data. Their conditions are getting worse, not better. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. She's using them as guinea pigs, experimenting on dying children. Not just experimenting, Destiny's voice was hollow. Some of these children have been here for months. Their families think they're in legitimate hospitals. They have no idea. A door slammed somewhere in the building. Marcus grabbed Destiny's arm. We need to go, now. They ran back through the corridors heading for the exit, but when they reached the side door, someone was waiting for them. Eleanor Sterling. She was wearing a white coat like a doctor with two large men flanking her on either side. Marcus, I'm disappointed. I thought I raised you to respect other people's privacy. What the hell is this place, Mother? This is the future. Medical research that will revolutionize healthcare. Treatments that will save millions of lives. By experimenting on children. By letting them die in secret. By doing what needs to be done. Progress requires sacrifice, Marcus. You of all people should understand that. I understand that you're a monster. Eleanor's expression flickered with something that might have been hurt. Then it hardened again. I'm a visionary, and I won't let you destroy everything I've built. She nodded to the men beside her. They moved forward, reaching for Marcus and Destiny. Marcus stepped in front of Destiny. Don't touch her. Always the hero. Eleanor shook her head. Just like your father. What do you know about my father? I know he tried to stop me too, 40 years ago when I was just starting out. Had found out about my research, threatened to expose me. What happened to him? Eleanor smiled. The same thing that happens to everyone who gets in my way. Marcus felt ice spreading through his veins. You killed him. I removed an obstacle, just like I removed Victoria, just like I'll remove anyone who threatens my work. Including your own grandson. Noah was never in any real danger. The drugs were carefully dosed. I just needed to create a crisis that would drive you back to me. By almost killing a baby. By showing you that you need me. That you can't survive without me. Eleanor stepped closer. I've spent 60 years building this empire, Marcus. 60 years of sacrifice and compromise and difficult choices, and I won't let it end because my son developed a conscience. Marcus looked at his mother, really looked at her, and saw something he'd never noticed before. Madness. Pure, absolute madness. You're insane. I'm practical. There's a difference. She nodded again, and the men grabbed Marcus and Destiny, pulling their arms behind their backs. Take them to the holding room. I'll deal with them after I finish my rounds. Mother, wait. Whatever you're planning, it won't work. The police know about Victoria. They have the recordings. It's over. Eleanor paused. Then she laughed a cold, brittle sound. The police? You think I haven't prepared for that? I have judges in my pocket, prosecutors who owe me favors, politicians who would do anything to keep their secrets hidden. She leaned close to Marcus's face. There is no authority in the city that can touch me. I am the authority. She turned and walked away, disappearing through a door at the end of the corridor. The men dragged Marcus and Destiny in the opposite direction. At 12:15 a.m., they were locked in a small room with no windows and a single locked door. Marcus paced the floor, his mind racing. There has to be a way out. There has to be something we can do. She's right, you know? Destiny's voice was quiet. About the police. About her connections. Women like her don't go down easy. So what, we just give up? No, but we have to be smart. We have to find a weakness she hasn't prepared for. Like what? Destiny was silent for a moment. Then she looked up, a strange expression on her face. Victoria's recordings. You said there were hundreds of files. Yeah, so did you listen to all of them? No, just the first few and the one from the week before she died. Why? Because Victoria was smart. She knew Eleanor would try to destroy any evidence against her. She would have hidden something, a backup plan, something that couldn't be destroyed. Marcus thought about it. Victoria had been thorough. Meticulous. If she was planning to bring down Eleanor, she would have made sure there was more than one way to do it. The recordings on the USB drive were just the beginning. Victoria must have hidden more evidence somewhere else. But where? Marcus closed his eyes, trying to remember. Victoria had been secretive in the months before Noah was born. There were times when she would disappear for hours without explanation. Places she would go that she never talked about. Then it hit him. The lake house. What lake house? We had a cabin in Vermont. Victoria loved it there. She used to go for long weekends, said it helped her think. Marcus looked at Destiny. I haven't been there since she died, but if she was hiding something, that's where it would be? How do we get there from here? First, we need to get out of this room." As if on cue, they heard footsteps in the corridor outside. The door opened. But it wasn't Eleanor's guards. It was Raymond Chen. "Jesus, Marcus. When I tracked your phone here, I thought you'd lost your mind." "Raymond? How did you—" "No time to explain. We need to move. Now." They ran through the corridors, Raymond leading the way with a security card he'd apparently stolen from someone. "I called the FBI," Raymond said as they moved. "They're sending agents, but it'll take at least an hour for them to get here." "Eleanor will be gone by then." "I know. That's why we need to get you out first. You're the only witness who can tie her to all of this." They reached the side door and pushed through into the cold night air. Raymond's car was parked 50 feet away. They ran for it. Then Marcus heard a sound that made his blood freeze. A gunshot. Raymond stumbled. Fell. Marcus spun around and saw Eleanor standing in the doorway, a pistol in her hand. "Did you really think it would be that easy?" "Raymond!" Marcus dropped to his knees beside his partner. Raymond was clutching his side, blood seeping between his fingers. "Go," Raymond gasped. "Get out of here." "I'm not leaving you." "You have to. No one needs you. Go." Eleanor was walking toward them, the gun still raised. Destiny grabbed Marcus's arm. "He's right. We have to go." Marcus looked at Raymond, his oldest friend lying on the ground bleeding. Then he looked at his mother, the woman who had destroyed everything he'd ever loved. "This isn't over," he said. "No," Eleanor agreed. "It isn't." Marcus grabbed Destiny's hand and ran. They reached the car and jumped in. Marcus floored the accelerator tires, screaming as they pulled away. In the rearview mirror, he saw Eleanor standing over Raymond's body, watching them disappear into the night. At 1:30 a.m., they reached the hospital. The police officers were still outside Noah's room. Inside, the baby was sleeping peacefully. Marcus collapsed into a chair, his whole body shaking. "She shot Raymond. She shot my best friend." "We need to call Detective Harris. Tell him what happened." "And say what? That my mother is running a secret medical facility where she experiments on children, that she shot my business partner, that she killed my wife and my father and God knows how many other people." Marcus laughed bitterly. "He won't believe us. Nobody will. They'll believe the recordings. They'll believe the evidence at that facility. If there's anything left, Eleanor's probably destroying everything right now." Destiny sat down beside him and took his hand. "Then we go to Vermont. We find whatever Victoria hid, and we bring Eleanor down once and for all." Marcus looked at her, at the determination in her eyes, the strength that had survived loss and betrayal and pain that would have broken most people. "Why are you still here?" he asked quietly. "After everything you've seen, everything my family has done to you, I'll tell you why haven't you run to us?" "Because I made a promise," and she looked at Noah, "to that little boy, to myself, and to Grace." "What promise?" "That I would never stop fighting for the people who can't fight for themselves. That I would be the person I needed when Grace was dying." Her voice cracked. "Someone who doesn't give up. Someone who doesn't walk away. Someone who stays." Marcus felt tears burning in his eyes. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not." She smiled slightly. "But you're stuck with me anyway." At 3:00 a.m., Marcus got a call from Detective Harris. "We found Raymond Chen outside the facility. He's in surgery now. They think he's going to make it." "Thank God." "He managed to tell us what happened before they took him in. We've got units heading to the warehouse, but I'm guessing your mother is long gone by now." "She is. She's always one step ahead." "Maybe not. Chen also told us about the FBI. They're taking over the investigation. This is bigger than local police can handle." "How much bigger?" "So big enough that the Attorney General is personally involved. Your mother's network extends across multiple states. Maybe multiple countries." Marcus felt a flicker of hope. "Does that mean they can actually stop her?" "It means they're going to try, but Marcus, I need you to stay out of it. Let the professionals handle this." "I can't do that?" "Why not?" "Because my mother has evidence hidden somewhere. Evidence that Victoria collected before she died. If I don't find it first, Eleanor will destroy it, and then she'll walk away from all of this just like she always does." Harris was quiet for a moment. "Where's this evidence?" "Vermont. A cabin on Lake Champlain. I need to get there before my mother figures out where it is." "Then go, but take the woman with you. Destiny. She might be the only witness we have left." "What about Noah?" "I'll personally stay here and watch him. No one gets near that baby, you have my word." Marcus hung up and looked at Destiny. "We're going to Vermont." At 4:30 a.m., they were on the road. Destiny drove while Marcus tried to sleep, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw his mother's face, her cold smile, the gun in her hand. "Tell me about Victoria," Destiny said softly. "The real Victoria, not the one your mother created." Marcus opened his eyes. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. Anything. I want to understand who she really was." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he began to speak. "The first time I met her, she was wearing this ridiculous yellow dress, like a sunflower. She said it was her good luck charm, that her grandmother had given it to her before she died. Was any of that true? I don't know anymore. Maybe the dress was real. Maybe the story was a lie." He stared out the window. "But the way she laughed was real. The way she held my hand when we walked through the park. The way she cried when she found out she was pregnant. She loved you. Whatever else was going on, she loved you." "Did she? Or was that just part of the act? The recordings you played, that last one, she said she loved you, that she couldn't keep lying. That sounds real to me." "It also got her killed." Destiny reached over and squeezed his hand. "Love is dangerous. It makes us vulnerable. It makes us take risks we wouldn't otherwise take." "Is that why you're here, love?" Destiny didn't answer right away. Then quietly, "I'm here because when I look at Noah, I see grace. And when I look at you, I see someone worth fighting for." Marcus felt his heart crack open. "Destiny, I need to tell you something." "What?" "These past few weeks watching you with Noah, seeing who you really are." He took a deep breath. "I'm falling in love with you." Destiny was quiet. The car hummed along the highway, miles disappearing beneath them. "I know," she finally said. "I've been falling too. Even though I told myself not to. Even though I knew it would only make things more complicated." "What happens now?" "Now we find Victoria's evidence, we stop your mother, and then—" She looked at him. "Then we figure out the rest." At 7:15 a.m., they arrived at the lake house. It was a small cabin, rustic but well-maintained, sitting on a quiet stretch of shoreline. Marcus hadn't been here in 6 years, but nothing had changed. The key was still under the same rock by the door. Inside, everything was exactly as Victoria had left it. Her books on the shelf, her paintings on the walls, her favorite blanket draped over the couch. "Where do we start?" Destiny asked. "Victoria used to have a study upstairs. If she hid anything, that's where it would be." They climbed the narrow staircase and found the small room at the end of the hall. It was filled with boxes, papers, old photographs. They searched for 2 hours. At 9:30 a.m., Destiny found something. "Marcus, look at this." She was holding a leather journal, inside page after page of Victoria's handwriting. "It's a diary. She wrote everything down." Marcus took the journal and began to read. The entries started years before they met, when Victoria was just a teenager. She wrote about her childhood, her dreams, her fears. About meeting Eleanor Sterling and being offered a job that would change her life. Then the entries shifted. Victoria writing about Marcus. About falling in love with him. About the guilt that grew stronger every day. The final entry was dated the day before she died. "I told Eleanor I'm going to tell Marcus everything. She threatened me, but I don't care anymore. I can't keep living this lie. Tomorrow after Noah is born, I'm going to tell him the truth. Whatever happens next, at least I'll finally be free." Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. Victoria had tried to do the right thing. She had tried to tell him the truth. And Eleanor had killed her for it. "There's something else in here." Destiny pulled out a small envelope from the back of the journal. Inside was a letter addressed to Marcus. His hands shook as he opened it. "My darling Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm probably gone. Your mother finally made good on her threats. But before I go, I need you to know the truth. Everything your mother told you about me is true. She paid me to marry you. Our entire relationship was a business arrangement. But somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you. Real love. The kind that changes everything. And Noah, our beautiful boy, he was never part of the plan. He was a gift. A miracle I didn't deserve. Please don't hate me. I know I lied to you. I know I hurt you. But everything I felt was real. The love. The joy. The hope for our future. Promise me you'll take care of our son. Promise me you'll protect him from your mother, and promise me you'll find someone who loves you as much as I did. Someone who deserves you. I'm sorry I couldn't be that person. I'm sorry for everything. Forever yours, Victoria." Marcus dropped the letter and sobbed. Destiny knelt beside him and held him while he cried. At 10:00 a.m., they found the final piece of evidence. Hidden beneath a floorboard in Victoria's study was a metal box. Inside were documents, bank records, photographs, and a single USB drive labeled Insurance. Marcus plugged the drive into his laptop. It contained everything. Every transaction Eleanor had ever made. Every person she had paid off. Every life she had destroyed. There were names, dates, amounts, proof of bribery, extortion, medical malpractice, and at least 3 murders, including Victoria's. "This is it," Destiny breathed. "This is everything we need. We need to get this to the FBI, now." They packed up the evidence and headed for the car, but when they stepped outside, someone was waiting for them. Eleanor Sterling standing beside a black SUV with 3 armed men at her side. "Hello, Marcus. I thought I might find you here." Marcus pushed Destiny behind him. "How did you know?" "Victoria wasn't the only one who kept records. I've known about this cabin for years. I just never thought you'd be foolish enough to come here." "It's over, Mother. We have everything. The journal, the documents, the recordings." "Do you?" Eleanor smiled. "And what exactly are you going to do with them? Go to the police, the FBI? They're already in my pocket. By this time tomorrow, any evidence you have will be dismissed as forgery." "You can't buy everyone." "I don't need to buy everyone. I just need to buy enough people." She stepped closer. "Give me the evidence, Marcus, and I'll let you walk away. You, the woman, and Noah. You can disappear, start a new life somewhere far from here, and let you keep killing people, keep experimenting on children, keep destroying lives. Let me keep saving lives. Because that's what I'm doing, Marcus. The children in that facility, they were going to die anyway. I gave them a chance, a purpose. You gave them suffering. I gave them meaning." Eleanor's eyes were bright with conviction. "Every medical breakthrough in history has required sacrifice. Vaccines, antibiotics, cancer treatments. Someone had to be first. Someone had to take the risk. Those children didn't choose to take any risk. Neither did the children who died of smallpox before the vaccine was invented. Progress requires sacrifice, Marcus. The question is whether you have the courage to accept it." Marcus looked at his mother at the madness in her eyes and felt something shift inside him. "No," he said quietly. "The question is whether I have the courage to stop you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "What are you doing?" "Something I should have done a long time ago." He pressed a button. A moment later, the sound of helicopters filled the air. Eleanor looked up, her face going pale. 3 FBI helicopters were descending toward the lake house, agents rappelling down on ropes. "I called them an hour ago," Marcus said. "Before we even left the cabin. They've been tracking our location the whole time." "You were recording this conversation." "Every word, broadcasting live to FBI headquarters." Eleanor's composure finally cracked. She looked at her guards, but they were already dropping their weapons as agents surrounded them. "This isn't over," she hissed. "I have lawyers, connections. You can't prove anything." "But I don't have to prove anything." Marcus held up the metal box. "Victoria already did." The agents moved in and put Eleanor in handcuffs. As they led her toward the helicopter, she looked back at Marcus one last time. "You're making a mistake. Everything I did for you, for this family. This family is better off without you." Eleanor's face twisted with rage. Then the agents pushed her into the helicopter and the door closed behind her. Marcus watched until the helicopters disappeared over the horizon. Then he turned to Destiny. "It's over." She took his hand. "No, it's just beginning." At 2:00 p.m., they arrived back at the hospital. Noah was awake, sitting in Detective Harris's lap, reaching for the detective's badge. "Someone's feeling better," Harris said with a smile. Marcus lifted his son into his arms and held him close. "It's over, buddy. It's all over." Noah looked up at him with big brown eyes, and for the first time in weeks he smiled. Destiny stood beside them, tears streaming down her face. "He's going to be okay." "Yeah." Marcus looked at her. "We all are." His phone buzzed, a text from Raymond. "Heard you got her? Proud of you, partner. See you when I get out of this damn hospital. P.S. Tell Destiny I said thank you." Marcus showed the message to Destiny. She laughed through her tears. "Tell him he's welcome." At 4:00 p.m., the news broke. Eleanor Sterling, billionaire, philanthropist, and pillar of Boston society, arrested on charges of murder, fraud, and conspiracy. FBI seizes assets worth over $200 million. Investigations ongoing into secret medical facilities across 5 states. Marcus watched the coverage from Noah's hospital room, Destiny sitting beside him. "They're going to dig into everything," she said. "Your family's history, Victoria, all of it." "I know. Are you ready for that?" Marcus looked at Noah now, sleeping peacefully in his crib. "I'm ready to start telling the truth, whatever that means." Destiny leaned her head on his shoulder. Then we'll face it together. Together? Marcus kissed the top of her head. I like the sound of that. Outside, the sun was setting over Boston, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. And for the first time in a very long time, Marcus Sterling felt something he'd almost forgotten how to feel. Hope. 3 weeks after Eleanor Sterling's arrest, the trial began. Marcus sat in the front row of the federal courthouse, Noah, in Destiny's arms beside him. The courtroom was packed with journalists, cameras, and spectators who had come to witness the fall of one of Boston's most powerful women. Eleanor was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her wrists in handcuffs. She looked smaller, somehow diminished like a predator stripped of its claws. But when her eyes found Marcus in the crowd, they still burned with that familiar cold fire. She smiled at him. Marcus didn't look away. The prosecutor, a woman named Angela Martinez, stood and addressed the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, over the next several weeks, you will hear testimony that will shock you. You will learn how Eleanor Sterling built an empire not on hard work and innovation, but on manipulation, extortion, and murder. You will hear how she paid a young woman to seduce and marry her own son, how she arranged for that woman's death when she threatened to reveal the truth, how she operated secret medical facilities where vulnerable children were used as test subjects for experimental treatments. Martinez paused, letting the words sink in. And you will hear how when her own grandson became an obstacle to her control, she arranged to have him slowly poisoned, a 6-month-old baby, her own flesh and blood. The courtroom murmured. Eleanor's face remained impassive. The defense will try to paint Mrs. Sterling as a misunderstood philanthropist, a woman who made difficult choices for the greater good. But the evidence will show that Eleanor Sterling is not a philanthropist. She is a predator. And today, after 60 years of operating in the shadows, she will finally face justice. The trial lasted 4 weeks. Witness after witness took the stand. Nurses from the secret facility, doctors who had been paid to look the other way, former employees who had been threatened into silence. Raymond Chen testified about the financial records he had uncovered, the offshore accounts, the shell companies, the hundreds of millions of dollars that Eleanor had moved through her secret network. Detective Harris testified about the investigation, the drugs found in Noah's system, the trail of evidence that led back to Eleanor's doorstep. And then on the 15th day of the trial, Destiny took the stand. Marcus watched her walk to the witness box, her back straight, her head held high. She had spent weeks preparing for this moment, going over her testimony with the prosecutors, rehearsing every detail of what had happened to Grace. But when Martinez asked her first question, Destiny's voice broke. Miss Carter, can you tell us about your daughter, Grace? Destiny closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they were filled with tears. Grace was born on March 15th at 3:47 in the morning. She weighed 2 pounds, 4 ounces. She was so small I could hold her in one hand. The courtroom was silent. She was a fighter, from the very first moment. The doctor said she shouldn't have survived the birth. But she did. She fought for 7 weeks. Every single day she fought. And what happened at the end of those 7 weeks? Destiny looked directly at Eleanor. A woman came to the hospital. She said her name was Eleanor. She said she wanted to help. She said she would pay for Grace's treatment, the surgery that could save her life. And did she pay for the treatment? No. Destiny's voice hardened. The day before Grace's surgery, she called me. She said she had changed her mind. She said she couldn't in good conscience enable someone who clearly wasn't ready to be a parent. What happened to Grace? She died the next morning because the surgery she needed was canceled, because the woman who promised to save her decided she wasn't worth saving. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel, calling for order. Eleanor's lawyer jumped to his feet. Objection, this is hearsay. There's no proof my client was the woman who visited the hospital. Martinez smiled. Actually, Your Honor, we have proof right here. She clicked a button on her laptop. The courtroom screens filled with a photograph. A hospital security camera image time-stamped the day before Grace's surgery. Eleanor Sterling walking out of the pediatric ICU. The murmurs grew louder. Eleanor's face finally showed a crack, the flicker of something that might have been fear. Miss Carter, Martinez continued. Did you ever see this woman again after your daughter died? Yes, 2 years later, when I came to work for her son as his baby's caregiver. And did she recognize you? She looked right at me and smiled, like it was all a game to her, like my daughter's death meant nothing. Marcus watched the jury's faces. He saw anger, disgust, horror. He saw Eleanor's conviction written in their eyes. At 4:30 p.m. on the 28th day of the trial, the jury returned with their verdict. Guilty on all counts. Murder in the first degree, conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, extortion, child endangerment, assault with a deadly weapon. Eleanor Sterling would spend the rest of her life in federal prison. When the verdict was read, Eleanor showed no emotion. She sat perfectly still, her hands folded in her lap, her face a mask. But as the guards came to take her away, she turned and looked at Marcus one last time. "You've won," she said quietly. "But remember this, Marcus? Everything I did to make you strong, to make you worthy of the Sterling name. And despite everything, I succeeded. You're a fighter now, a survivor. You're finally the man I always knew you could be." Marcus stood and walked toward her. "You're wrong," he said. "I'm not the man you made me. I'm the man I chose to be, the man Victoria believed I could be, the man Destiny sees when she looks at me." He leaned close. "And that man will spend the rest of his life making sure your legacy is erased. Every building with your name on it, every charity you funded, every institution you corrupted. I will tear it all down and rebuild it into something good, something you never understood how to create." Eleanor's mask finally cracked. For one brief moment, Marcus saw something in her eyes that he had never seen before. Grief. Then the guards pulled her away and Eleanor Sterling disappeared, through the courtroom doors forever. 6 months later, Marcus sold Sterling Industries. The company that had been his family's legacy for 3 generations was broken up and sold to ethical investors who promised to reform its practices. The secret medical facilities were shut down. The children who had been used as test subjects were returned to their families with full medical care paid for by a trust Marcus established. He kept one building, a small office tower in downtown Boston that he converted into the headquarters of his new venture, the Grace Foundation, named for the daughter Destiny had lost, dedicated to providing medical care for families who couldn't afford it. Run by Destiny herself, who had finished nursing school at the top of her class and now served as the foundation's executive director. On the day of the foundation's grand opening, Marcus stood at the podium and looked out at the crowd. Journalists, donors, politicians. And in the front row, Destiny with Noah on her lap, the little boy now healthy and thriving, his cheeks round his eyes bright. 2 years ago, Marcus began. "I was a man who had everything. Money, power, prestige, but I had nothing that mattered. My wife was dead, my son was dying, and my own mother was slowly destroying everything I loved." He paused, gathering himself. "Then a woman walked into my life. A woman from the south side of Chicago with no degree, no connections, and no reason to trust anyone with money or power. A woman who had lost her own daughter because people like me decided she wasn't worth saving." He looked at Destiny. "She taught me what it really means to love, what it really means to sacrifice, what it really means to see another person truly see them without judgment or prejudice or fear." Destiny's eyes were shining with tears. "The Grace Foundation is named for her daughter. A little girl who lived for 7 weeks and fought every single day. We honor her memory by fighting for the children who can't fight for themselves, by giving families the help they need when no one else will." Marcus stepped away from the podium. "My mother believed that progress required sacrifice, that some lives were worth more than others, that the ends justified the means." His voice hardened. "She was wrong. Every life has value. Every child deserves a chance. And anyone who believes otherwise has lost sight of what it means to be human." He looked at Destiny again. "This foundation is our answer to her philosophy, our proof that compassion is stronger than cruelty, that love is stronger than fear, that the measure of a person's worth isn't the size of their bank account, but the depth of their heart." The crowd applauded, but Marcus wasn't finished. "There's one more announcement I need to make today, something personal." He walked down from the stage and stood in front of Destiny. "From the moment you walked into my house, you've been saving my life, saving my son's life, showing me who I could be if I just had the courage to change." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "Destiny Marie Carter, I love you. I love your strength, your kindness, your stubborn refusal to give up on anyone, even people who don't deserve it." He got down on one knee. "Will you marry me?" The room went silent. Destiny stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Noah reached up and touched her cheek as if asking what was wrong. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." Marcus slipped the ring on her finger and pulled her into his arms. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Noah caught between them, laughed out loud. The wedding was held 3 months later at the lake house in Vermont. It was a small ceremony, just 20 guests. Raymond Chen still recovering from his wound, but insisting he wouldn't miss it. Detective Harris, who had become a family friend. Mrs. Chen, who cried through the entire service, and a dozen others who had stood by them through the darkness. Marcus stood at the altar, watching Destiny walk toward him in a simple white dress. She had never looked more beautiful. "I've written my own vows," Destiny said when she reached him. "I hope that's okay." "I wouldn't expect anything less." She took a deep breath. "Marcus, when I first met you, I thought I knew exactly who you were. Another rich man who saw people like me as beneath him. Someone I needed to manipulate to get justice for my daughter." Marcus smiled. "Not a great start." "No, but then I saw you with Noah. I saw the way you looked at him, the way you held him, the fear in your eyes when you thought you might lose him." Her voice cracked. "And I realized I had been wrong about you, just like you had been wrong about me. We were both so busy seeing each other through the lens of our prejudices that we almost missed the truth." "What truth?" "That we were both broken, both lost, both searching for something we thought we'd never find." She took his hands. "I found it in you, Marcus. I found a partner, a friend, a father for the children I thought I'd never have." She placed her hand on her stomach. Marcus's eyes went wide. "Destiny, are you?" 6 weeks. She was crying now, laughing and crying at the same time. "I was going to wait until after the ceremony, but I couldn't hold it in any longer." Marcus pulled her into his arm, lifting her off her feet, spinning her around while the guests cheered. "We're having a baby, come," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "We're actually having a baby. We're having a baby, huh?" Destiny confirmed, "and this time no one is going to take her away from us." The minister cleared his throat. "Should I continue with the ceremony or—" "Yes," Marcus said, setting Destiny down but not letting go of her hands. "Please continue. I need to make this woman my wife before she surprises me with anything else." The ceremony was short and sweet. Traditional vows exchanged with shaking voices and tear-filled eyes. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Marcus kissed Destiny like he was never going to let her go, and Noah, sitting in Mrs. Chen's lap, clapped his little hands and said his first word. "Mama!" Everyone froze. Noah pointed at Destiny. "Mama!" he said again, clearer this time. "Mama!" Destiny dropped to her knees in front of him, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, baby, I'm your mama. I'm right here." Noah reached out and touched her face just like he had done that very first day when she sang to him in the nursery. "Mama," he said one more time, then wrapped his tiny arms around her neck. Marcus knelt beside them, wrapping his arms around both of them. His wife, his son, his family. After everything they had been through, after all the lies and betrayals and pain they had found each other, and nothing would ever tear them apart again. 1 year later, Destiny gave birth to a baby girl. They named her Grace Victoria Sterling. Grace for the daughter Destiny had lost. Victoria for the woman who had tried in the end to do the right thing. Marcus held his daughter for the first time in the delivery room, looking down at her tiny face, her dark curls, her perfect little fingers. "She has your eyes," he told Destiny. "She has your stubbornness, I can already tell." Marcus laughed. "How can you tell her?" "Because she refused to come out until she was good and ready, just like someone else I know." The door opened and Noah toddled in, holding Mrs. Chen's hand. "Baby?" he asked, trying to peek at the bundle in Marcus's arms. "That's right, buddy. This is your sister. Her name is Grace." Noah studied the baby seriously. Then he leaned forward and kissed her forehead. "Hi, Grace," he said. "I'm Noah. I'm going to protect you." Destiny started crying again. Marcus felt tears in his own eyes. "Where did he learn that?" Destiny asked. "I don't know. I've been telling him that big brothers protect their little sisters, but I didn't expect him to remember." "He remembers everything." Destiny reached out and stroked Noah's hair, just like his daddy. That night, after the visitors had gone and the children were sleeping, Marcus and Destiny sat together in the hospital room. "Are you happy?" Marcus asked. Destiny looked at him like he was crazy. "Are you seriously asking me that?" "I just want to make sure. After everything you've been through, everything we've been through, I want to know that this is enough, that I'm enough." Destiny took his face in her hands. "Listen to me, Marcus Sterling. You are more than enough. You are everything I never dared to dream of. A husband who loves me, children who need me, a purpose that matters." She kissed him softly. 2 years ago, I wanted to die. I had lost my daughter, lost my hope, lost my reason to keep fighting. And then I walked into your house and met a broken man with a broken baby and a broken heart. That's a lot of broken. It is. But you know what I've learned. Broken things can be fixed. Broken people can be healed. And sometimes the cracks are what let the light in. Marcus pulled her close. I love you, he whispers. More than I've ever loved anyone. More than I ever knew I could love. I love you too. Forever and always. They sat there in the darkness, holding each other, listening to their children breathe. Outside, the sun was rising over Boston, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. A new day, a new beginning, a future they had earned together. 5 years passed. The Grace Foundation grew into one of the largest charitable organizations in the country, providing free medical care to over 100,000 families each year. Destiny was featured in magazines, interviewed on television, celebrated as a pioneer in healthcare accessibility. But she never forgot where she came from. Every year on the anniversary of Grace's death, she visited the small cemetery in Chicago where her daughter was buried. She brought flowers. She talked to the tiny headstone. She told Grace about Noah and little Grace about Marcus, about everything that had happened since she'd been gone. You would have loved them, Destiny whispered, kneeling in the grass. Noah is so smart, so kind. He looks out for his sister like she's the most precious thing in the world. And Grace, our Grace, she has your spirit, your fight, your stubborn refusal to give up. She placed the flowers on the grave. I wish you could have met them. I wish you could see how much love there is in our family. Love that exists because you existed. Because you taught me what it means to fight for someone, what it means to never give up. A hand touched her shoulder, Marcus standing behind her, Noah holding one hand, little Grace holding the other. Are we interrupting? Marcus asked softly. No. Destiny stood up and took little Grace's hand. I was just telling her about you. Little Grace looked at the headstone with curious eyes. Who's buried here, Mama? Destiny knelt down to her daughter's level. This is Grace, your name sister. She was my first daughter before I met your daddy. What happened to her? She got very sick, baby, and the doctors couldn't make her better. Little Grace thought about this for a moment. Is she in heaven now? Yes, sweetheart, she's in heaven. Is she watching us? Destiny felt tears pricking her eyes. I hope so, baby. I really hope so. Little Grace reached out and touched the headstone. Hi, Grace, she said. I'm Grace, too. Mama says you were very brave. I want to be brave like you. Marcus put his arm around Destiny's shoulders as she started to cry. She would have loved them, Destiny whispered. She would have loved all of this. I know, and I think she knows, too. They stood there together, a family united by love and loss and hope, honoring the little girl who had started it all. That evening they had dinner at the lake house, the same cabin where Victoria had hidden her evidence, the same place where Marcus had finally learned the truth about his mother. But now the house was filled with warmth and laughter, the ghosts of the past finally at rest. Noah, now 6 years old, was teaching little Grace how to play chess. You have to protect the king, he explained seriously. That's the most important thing. But the queen is stronger, little Grace protested. She can go anywhere. She's stronger, but the king is the goal. You have to protect what matters most, even if it's not the most powerful piece. Marcus looked at Destiny. Did you teach him that? No, I think he figured it out himself. They watched their children play, their faces glowing in the firelight. Do you ever think about what might have happened? Destiny asked. If things had gone differently? Sometimes, but then I look at them and I realize it doesn't matter. Whatever path brought us here, it was the right one. Even the pain, the betrayal, everything your mother did. Marcus was quiet for a moment. My mother was a monster. There's no other way to say it. But without her, I never would have met you, never would have had Noah, never would have become the man I am today. He took Destiny's hand. I'm not grateful for what she did, but I'm grateful for what came after, for the life we've built together, for our children, for every single moment I get to spend with you. Destiny leaned her head on his shoulder. You know what I've learned, darkness can't survive where there's light. Your mother tried to build an empire on lies and fear and cruelty, but it crumbled. It always crumbles, because that's not how you build something that lasts. How do you build something that lasts? With love, with trust, with the willingness to see people for who they really are, not who you expect them to be. She looked at their children. We're building something that will outlast us. Not buildings or companies or bank accounts, but values, compassion, the belief that every person matters, every life has value. That's what the foundation is about. That's what our family is about. That's what our whole lives are about now. Marcus kissed the top of her head. I love you, Destiny Sterling. I love you too, Marcus, forever and always. At 9:00 p.m., Marcus received a phone call. It was from a federal prison in upstate New York. Mr. Sterling, this is Warden Phillips. I'm calling to inform you that your mother passed away this afternoon. Heart attack. The doctors did everything they could, but... Marcus felt nothing. No grief, no satisfaction, just a hollow emptiness where his feelings for his mother used to live. Thank you for letting me know. She left a letter for you. We found it in her cell. Would you like us to send it? Marcus hesitated. Yes, send it. The letter arrived 3 days later. Marcus sat alone in his office at the foundation, staring at the envelope with his mother's handwriting on it. Part of him wanted to throw it away unread, to finally completely move on, but another part needed to know what she had to say. He opened the envelope. My dear Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I've had a lot of time to think in here. Years of nothing but time and regret and the slow realization of everything I've lost. I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. The things I did, the lives I destroyed, the pain I caused, there's no excusing any of it. I told myself I was doing what was best for you, for our family, for the Sterling legacy, but the truth is I was doing what was best for me. My need for control, my fear of losing power, my inability to trust anyone, including my own son. I watched you from afar these past few years. Read about your foundation, saw pictures of your family. Your children are beautiful, Marcus. You've become the kind of man I always claimed I wanted you to be. But the truth is, you became that man in spite of me, not because of me. I was wrong about everything. About Victoria, about destiny, about what it means to build a legacy that matters. You figured out what I never could. That true strength isn't about controlling people. It's about lifting them up. That real power isn't about taking from others. It's about giving. I'm proud of you, Marcus. I know I have no right to say that, but I am. You broke free from everything I tried to make you, and you became something better than I could ever imagine. Take care of your family, love your wife, raise your children to be kind, and forget about me. I don't deserve to be remembered. Your mother, Eleanor. Marcus read the letter 3 times, then he folded it carefully up and put it in his desk drawer. He didn't cry, didn't feel the closure that people always talk about, but he felt something shift inside him, some final weight lifting from his shoulders. His mother was gone. The past was truly over. And the future, bright and beautiful and full of possibility, was waiting for him to embrace it. 10 years after Eleanor Sterling's conviction, Marcus stood at the podium of the Grace Foundation's annual gala. The organization had grown beyond anything he could have imagined. 50 hospitals, 200 clinics, over 1 million families served. A testament to what could be accomplished when compassion guided action instead of greed. Destiny sat in the front row as beautiful as the day he'd met her. Noah, now 15, sat beside her tall and serious, already talking about becoming a doctor. Little Grace, 10 years old, sat on Destiny's other side, fidgeting with excitement. And in Destiny's arms, their youngest child, a 3-year-old boy named Daniel, named after Marcus's father, the man Eleanor had killed all those years ago. 20 years ago, Marcus began, I was a man who thought he had everything figured out. I knew who I was. I knew what I wanted. I knew exactly how the world worked. He paused. I was wrong about everything. The crowd laughed softly. But that's okay, because being wrong is how we learn. Being wrong is how we grow. Being wrong is how we become the people we're meant to be. He looked at Destiny. I learned that from a woman who had every reason to hate me, every reason to want revenge against my family. But instead of choosing hatred, she chose love. Instead of choosing destruction, she chose creation. Instead of seeing me as the son of her enemy, she saw me as a man worth saving. Destiny wiped her eyes. The Grace Foundation exists because of her. Because of her daughter Grace, who fought for 7 weeks and never gave up. Because of every child who deserves a chance to live. Because of every family who should never have to choose between food and medicine. Marcus stepped out from behind the podium. But tonight, I'm not here to talk about the foundation. I'm here to talk about what really matters. He walked down to where his family was sitting. Family, the real kind. Not the kind based on blood or obligation, the kind based on choice, on commitment, on love that survives the worst life can throw at you. He knelt down in front of his children. Noah, Grace, Daniel, you are my greatest achievement. Not the buildings with my name on them, not the companies I built, not the money I made. You, your kindness, your courage, your beautiful hearts. He looked at Destiny. And you, my wife, my partner, my best friend, you saved my life. You saved Noah's life. You showed me what it means to truly love someone. He stood and addressed the crowd. 20 years ago, I didn't know what love was. I thought it was something you earned, something you controlled, something you could buy and sell like any other commodity." He shook his head. "I was wrong. Love isn't earned. It's given, freely, without expectation, without reservation, without fear." He looked at his family one more time. "That's the legacy I want to leave. Not buildings or money or power, just love. Pure, unconditional, transformative love." The crowd rose to their feet applauding, but Marcus barely heard them. He was too busy looking at Destiny, at their children, at the life they had built together from the ashes of tragedy. His mother had tried to destroy everything. Instead, she had created the conditions for something beautiful to grow, not because of her cruelty, but in spite of it, because love, real love, always finds a way. After the gala, Marcus and Destiny walked through the gardens outside the venue hand in hand. "That was quite a speech," Destiny said. "I meant every word." "I know you did. That's what made it beautiful." They walked in comfortable silence for a while. "Do you ever regret it?" Marcus asked. "Coming to work for me, getting involved in all of this." Destiny stopped walking and turned to face him. "Marcus Sterling, after 15 years of marriage, 3 children, and more adventure than any one lifetime should contain, you're asking me if I have regrets." "I just want to make sure you're happy." Destiny laughed. "I'm not happy. I'm beyond happy. I'm fulfilled. I'm content. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be with exactly the right person." She took his face in her hands. "You want to know my only regret? That it took so much pain to bring us together. That Grace had to die. That Victoria had to die. That so many people had to suffer." But suffering doesn't have to be meaningless. We can take the worst things that happen to us and transform them into something beautiful. That's what we've done. That's what we're still doing. Marcus pulled her close. "I love you," he whispered. "More today than yesterday. More tomorrow than today. I love you too, forever and always." Above them, the stars were coming out millions of points of light against the darkness. And somewhere up there, Marcus liked to think 2 little girls named Grace were watching, smiling, at peace, because they knew their families were finally home. The story of Marcus Sterling and Destiny Carter didn't end with a grand finale or a dramatic climax. It ended the way all great love stories end, quietly, peacefully, with 2 people who chose each other over and over again through every storm life threw at them. Marcus learned that true strength isn't about power or money or control. It's about having the courage to see people for who they really are, to admit when you're wrong, to change. Destiny learned that forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the most powerful force in the universe. The ability to let go of anger and choose love instead. And together they taught their children that family isn't about blood. It's about showing up. It's about staying. It's about loving someone enough to fight for them even when the whole world tells you to walk away. The Grace Foundation grew for another 30 years, serving millions of families, saving countless lives. When Marcus and Destiny finally retired, they passed it on to their children, who passed it on to their children after them. The Sterling name became synonymous not with wealth and power, but with compassion and hope. Exactly the opposite of what Eleanor intended. But exactly what Marcus and Destiny built it to be. Because in the end, the measure of a life isn't what you take from the world. It's what you leave behind. And Marcus Sterling and Destiny Carter left behind a legacy of love that would echo through generations. A love born from tragedy, refined by fire, and strong enough to light the way for everyone who came after. That is the true story of the billionaire who went undercover as a handyman. The story of a woman from the South Side who refused to give up. The story of a baby named Noah who brought them together. And the story of Grace, the little girl who lived for 7 weeks and changed the world. Because love, real love, doesn't ask where you came from, or how much money you have, or what color your skin is. Love only asks one question. Are you brave enough to choose it? Marcus and Destiny answered yes. And that answer changed everything. Forever.